KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I hope everyone had a great weekend and a great start to your week here on this warm Monday, and it is. Like, I almost broke out the shorts today. I mean, it's a sweltering 30 degrees outside. I mean, I almost had to turn on the air conditioning today. It was unbelievable. That's always my thing about when we go through those little stretches every winter where it's like negative out, where it's like, where temperatures are in the minus. I'm just like, I could tough it out for a week or two, because then when we get back to your typical 30-degree weather, that's going to feel like a heat wave, and then all of a sudden 30 doesn't feel cold anymore. So I'm fine with that little stretch that we just had. I don't want to see it come back, but a lot of 30s and 40s coming up, and that's all that matters.
Heat wave.
That's all that matters.
The deep defrost.
I want to open up with talking about a game. I mean, it's rare that we open up with college basketball, especially if it's not one of our local teams. But over the weekend, the best college basketball season of the weekend, hands down, and it wasn't even a result that I liked. It wasn't even a result that led to a team that I was pulling for to win. Ohio State loses to Michigan. Yes, that's how you know we're talking basketball. Ohio State, the number 4 team in the country, goes down at the hands of the number 3 team in the country, and the Michigan Wolverines. 92-87 was the final. And really, this matchup and the results, other than giving Michigan just that extra oomph and giving them that extra rub kind of as they look to close out the regular season heading into the Big Ten tournament, it didn't really change anything, Kev. The rankings came out earlier today. Ohio State stayed at 4. You still have Michigan at number 3. And then, of course, you have Baylor at 2 and Gonzaga at 1. And those two aren't going anywhere, both undefeated. Baylor's been hit by the COVID bug on a couple of occasions, having a couple timeouts throughout the season, but they're undefeated at 17-0. Gonzaga's 22-0. And then there's Ohio State, Michigan, and Illinois battling it out for the 3, 4, and 5 spots. And Illinois is quite, I think they're enjoying watching Ohio State and Michigan get all the attention. I think Illinois is completely okay with it. I honestly, as much as I love Ohio State and the job Chris Holtmann has done, I look at Illinois and say, they scare me about as much as Michigan. And Ohio State proved that they are punch for punch as good as Michigan. Of course, Michigan goes on that huge run late to close out the contest to get a 92-87 clutch win on the road. You look at what Washington and some of these guys were able to do in their time out on the floor. They didn't get a lot of contributions from anyone outside of 3 guys: Dwayne Washington, E.J. Liddell, and then, of course, C.J. Walker. So outside of that, no one else even had a remotely close game. I mean, Zeb Key had 2. Towns only had 3. Johnson had 3. Young only had 5, and then Sewing with 6. And Sewing had the play of the game for Michigan, the behind-the-back pass that led to the easy turnover. To me, that was the dagger in everything. That right there is what led to that killer momentum for Michigan that ultimately closed it out. We open up with this just because this was the first game I watched all season, Kev, that it gave me the March Madness feels. The excitement of the build to the game, I was pumped. The watching the back and forth action and just how entertained I was and how locked into the game I was. And then the number 1 March Madness feeling of all time, the pit in your stomach when your team loses. Why we love March Madness is beyond me. It ends in misery every year for you, right? Yeah. Right? I mean, let's be honest. How many of you out there, it's not like in college football where if you're an Alabama fan, you're sitting pretty. More times than not, if you're over a 10-year span, especially this past 10 year, your season has ended on a high note. In college basketball, we love March Madness, and I have no clue why, because every March it ends in misery. And I felt that March Madness feel as Michigan knocked off Ohio State 92-87. I had that pit in my stomach, and I was like, oh yeah, March Madness is here, baby.
Yeah, it was a great game. It was one of the marquee games of the year. They tried to hype up North Carolina and Duke game a couple weeks ago, but it wasn't there. The hype for that game wasn't there. It came on a Saturday night. I didn't watch. I was watching something on Netflix. But this game right here, Ohio State, Michigan, back on the basketball court, definitely locked in for it. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I've been locked into every Michigan and Ohio State basketball game like it's a football game. But this was exactly what we wanted. And let's be clear, man, Ohio State scoring 87 points, that is more than enough points to win a college basketball game. That wasn't their problem yesterday, scoring the ball. Yeah, the scoring really just came from from 3 guys, but that was enough points to win. I looked at the box score and I was blown away to see that Ohio State was only out rebounded by 4 because it felt like Michigan dominated on them on the glass. It felt like what's the young kid
Dickinson,
the
freaking freshman, man, like that's
looking like he's 40.
By the end of the game, I'm like, I really like this kid. Not only I should be ticked off every time he touches the ball, but I love that old, like, Michigan has that perfect balance of great guard play. They have a great coach. I love watching Juwan Howard just kill it. I hate
great
that it's
coaching
Michigan.
staff.
Yeah, staff as a whole, and they have the Martelli, the longtime legendary head coach, out of the A-10. But keep in mind, this is a perfect blend of old school and new school. Like the new post players of today have to be able to hit the 3. They have to be able to run the floor and be able to spread teams out. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but other than the fact that it was Michigan and it was hurting Ohio State, the fan in me there, the basketball fan as a whole, outside of my Ohio State fandom, was like, that's kind of cool to watch. I mean, just a post player just dominating. Ohio State had no answer for the kid down low. It was like, I mean, they made him look like Shaq. I don't think he's that good, but he was on fire that night, and they had no answer. I mean, drop step dunk. Spin move, dunk, offensive rebound, putback. The disparity in rebounds you talked about, it was at 4. It was 30 to 26. Yeah, 4 of those I bet all came from Dickinson. I mean, he was the difference maker.
Monster
he really was
down there in the paint, man. And Dwayne Washington tried to offset what he was doing in the paint from the outside, bombing threes and everything like that. And for all intents and purposes, he did. It's like you said, that around the back pass was really like brutal. What the F moment of the game. Is like, bro, what are you doing? Like, my wife was watching the game with me, halfway watching the game, halfway playing on her phone, but she saw that play for sure and she blew a gasket, as probably everybody out there in Buckeye country did when that around the back pass happened. And they ended up getting a steal. I believe that put Michigan up 5 at that point. And it was just one of those plays, like, you just can't do those type of things, or it was brutal to see that. But all in all, man, it was a great game. It was entertaining. And like we said last week, it really didn't matter if Ohio State lost to Penn State because they still had this game versus Michigan. It didn't matter. I mean, it matters because you obviously want to beat your rival and you want to beat that team up north and all that good stuff. But it doesn't matter because they still have all their goals in front of them. They can still win the Big Ten tournament title. They can still win a national title. So this is like one of those barometer test games. Like, we know how good Michigan is and we know how good Ohio State is. It was not a blowout or anything like that. It was a very highly contested game. It was super entertaining.
It was. And you look at what Ohio State's been able to accomplish over the last couple of weeks, too. They had that 9-game win streak that came to an end, of course, but they've beaten Iowa. I mean, they've beaten every top team that you can imagine right now. Of course, Michigan, they go down in a close one. But this is what's different about college basketball and college football season is if this was college football, that should be a devastating loss to where your season's basically over. That's why when Ohio State beats Michigan, or if Michigan beats Ohio State, the reason that rivalry was built as so much as what it was is because every year that it meant something was on the line. It's not necessarily the case anymore. However, let's be honest, Ohio State, you lose to Michigan, you're not going to the college football playoff most likely. Late losses don't. It doesn't help you by any means. So, big picture, when you look at it, it's like, okay, well, why did that game feel so damn big? Because really, there's still more games in the regular season. There's still an entire Big Ten tournament left. And then you get to the Selection Sunday show. And as of right now, the 4-1 seeds are the top 4 teams in the country as we currently sit in: Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, and Ohio State. I still think that Illinois can jump in and be there when it's all said and done, too. I think that, they're loaded, too. Their post guys are just as good as Michigan's. In fact, if they're better. I mean, last night, Dickinson had his best game of the season. No doubt about it. But Ohio State does have Iowa coming up again. They have Michigan State coming up on Thursday night. They still have to close out the regular season on a high note. I'm curious how they respond to this because they were playing good basketball. How do you respond after losing a game that everyone in the country was watching? There's not many basketball games throughout the year where everyone in the country is watching. And I felt like this past Saturday, no one cared about the Duke North Carolina game from a few weeks ago. No one's cared about anything with Kentucky or North Carolina. Gonzaga, they're number 1, but they're not a draw. It's
they come on at 11 o'clock at night.
Baylor, same thing. They're just not a draw.
They come on a Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock.
This was the first college basketball season, or this was the first college basketball game all season that I felt people just cared about, period. Like, usually people don't start paying attention to conference tournament time outside of the teams you follow, but that was damn cool.
Yeah.
That was I was mad they lost, but kudos to Juwan Howard, and I hate it because when Beeline left, I'm like, okay, good. Now I can go into fully investing into hating Michigan basketball now. But then I like Juwan Howard, so I was like, dang it. But he's coaching his ass off, man. Like, no one expected them to be where they're at right now. No one expected Ohio State to be there at right now. But good for the Big Ten. The Big Ten is the best conference in college basketball. I know that the Big 12 might argue about that too, but I love college basketball this time of year. I really do.
You funny you say that, man, because they got Michigan State obviously coming up. No matter how down Michigan State is, we're always going to respect Michigan State because, well, they're Michigan State. So that's also a big game that's got coming up on Thursday. Then they got number 9 Iowa Sunday, and then that following week they got number 5 Illinois. So you can't let this one game throw you off your course.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I went into it like, where it doesn't matter. This individually as a game doesn't matter, but these last quadrant of games do matter. You can't go down the stretch and basically lose 4 straight because it is possible to lose 4 straight. You can't lose these next 3 opponents on your schedule. So you definitely don't want that. I'm with you 100%. I want to see how they respond after, taking a L at the house and everything like that to your rival. Let's bounce back on Thursday at Sparty and let's make sure we get at least a split between Iowa and Illinois to close out the regular season.
All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Let's go to the Facebook feed. We are live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show. You can jump in on the conversation at any given moment, and we're going to pull your comments into the show. I want to know your thoughts on that game. And by the way, I love the new wrinkle that they added. Everyone knows about the gold pants in college football and the college football rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan. The gold pants. Mm-hmm. Now they have the gold jerseys to where if you sweep Michigan, you get the gold jerseys. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. But I love that they're adding that too. And by the way, that's because, and what's weird is I felt the edginess between the two too. Like you could just tell yesterday, or what is today? Monday? Yeah, it was yesterday. It was a long and fast weekend. If that can make sense at all, you could tell the two teams respectfully did not like each other. Yeah. I even saw what was cool about it. I forgot which. Oh, it was Pat Forty on Twitter. He said that, hey, well, in Columbus yesterday there was a point during a timeout where Juwan Howard and Chris Holtman were at the half court shouting at one another and shouting at the referee. Like I love that element to it. I don't want coaches swinging at one another, making it personal, but I love that they're jabbing at one another. Both coaches know that the rivalry between the two programs in football, it hasn't completely bled over to basketball, but this is as close to that type of feeling as we've ever had in the basketball side of things. We've never seen the top 5 matchup between those two programs. And there's good. Beeline was a hell of a coach. Mata is a hell of a coach. It's not like these are two bad basketball programs, but I would love to. I think this is the start to something cool moving forward. We're going to start circling this Ohio State Michigan matchup on the hardwood, just like we do on the football field. I think that's pretty exciting.
I think we should have been doing that because Michigan is a basketball school. Michigan is not a football school.
Did you tweet that out over the weekend?
Absolutely, yeah. I did. Over the last 35 years, Michigan has been to the Final Four 5 times and won a national championship. In the last 70 years, Michigan football has won national championship. So let's stop the games, man. This isn't like you like to talk about how you would like to see a program do it under different coaches. Well, they got a national championship under Fisher and went to 2 more Final Fours under Fisher. They went to 2 Final Fours underneath Beeline, and it looks like Juwan Howard is going to keep that train rolling. So let's stop the games and let's call it what it is. Michigan is a basketball school. So it's no diss, and Michigan fans will take that as a diss. No, it's props to your basketball program because they're doing something that your high-paid profile football program is not doing. They're competing with the Kentuckys of the world, the Dukes of the world, the North Carolinas of the world, all basketball schools. They're competing with them. So let's just call it what it is. Michigan is a basketball school. Buckeyes, I know we're a football school and we like to dabble in basketball as well because let's be clear, nobody really cares about Ohio State basketball until something goes wrong or until we're winning. So let's amp up. Let's be both. Let's be both. Let's be a football and a basketball school because they're a basketball school. We're taking care of them on the football field. It's time to take care of them on the basketball court too because they're a basketball school.
All right, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here to the football or to the football to the Facebook feed we go. David Shaw, who's he's a diehard Michigan fan and he definitely enjoyed that win over the weekend.
Welcome back.
He says go blue. Yeah, welcome back. He says go blue. He does say the two Illinois the best team in the Big Ten. Michigan's the best team in the Big Ten still, but I agree with David about how good Illinois is. If I had to, I would put Illinois above Ohio State right now. I would trust Illinois more just because of the post play mixed with the guards. Ohio State's guards are better than Illinois', but their lack of any kind of significant post presence, that's what that's what separated the game yesterday. Illinois and Michigan will separate themselves from Ohio State because of their dominant post presence down low. Like that's what Ohio State has to find, whether it's on the transfer, market or the transfer portal, whatever you got to do. But that's where they're going to have to address that need this coming off season. By the way, this team is set for like another year or two with this core. Like that's what's exciting about what Chris Holtmann has done.
I do got a question though. So in a normal year, I would say whoever wins the regular season title is the best team in the conference, no matter what conference they play in a regular year where everybody's playing everybody, all that good stuff like that. But in a COVID year where, Michigan just got off a break like 2 weeks ago, you got Baylor dealing with breaks and everything, like tons of teams are dealing with COVID situations. So everybody's not playing, everybody's not playing the same amount of games. How are we going to determine who's the best team? How are we going to determine that? Because it normally just, plays itself out. The games speak for themselves. But we're looking at Michigan right now. They're 11-1 in conference, and they're handling business. All respect to them. But Illinois, they played more games than them. They're 12-3. So, how are we going to figure out who's the best team? Who's going to get that conference regular season crown? Who's going to get the number one seed in the conference tournament? Like a lot of these things still need to work themselves out.
Well, it'll be just through the win percentage. And luckily the Big Ten won't run into what it did in college football, or maybe it will. Maybe they'll come up with some rule. I mean, as a Buckeye fan, I'm still counting on the Big Ten to come through and say, oh, well, because Ohio State had more Tuesday night wins than any other team in the Big Ten, they're the number one team. But it's all win percentage right now. And every conference is doing it differently. And I think the Horizon with Wright State, the Horizon wrapped up their regular season, and they did some model that I tried to pretend to be a fan of, but I don't really care. I think it was a horrible model, not just because it ended up putting Wright State as a 2 seed versus a 1, even though they're like 100 spots higher than every damn team in the conference and the Ken Pom and the net and everything else. But that's a conversation for later. But every conference has been responsible for trying to come up with a way to be able to crown a regular season champion. Here's what's tough if you're a Big Ten team, though. You're facing a quality opponent every night. You're cannibalizing one another. And I think it's tough too. That's why the Big Ten was better last year than it is this year. And this year it's still pretty strong. I was worried about the Big Ten, not worried. I was confident in the Big Ten's ability in the NCAA tournament last year, had there been one, Kev, because I think we were overlooking a lot of Big Ten teams last year. We saw a lot of 7, 8, 9 loss teams out of the Big Ten that if they played in any other conference are probably winning that conference. That's how, you looked at Michigan State, you looked at Illinois, you looked at Ohio State, and you looked at Michigan, you looked at, not Michigan. Yeah, but point is, a lot of really good teams last year that I don't think you can get a true feel for just how good they were. Ohio State beat North Carolina. They beat Kentucky. They beat really good teams in the non-conference last year. And then had quite a few losses in the Big Ten, and everyone's like, oh, they're very average. I'm like, or they're just really good, and literally there's just no off nights, and it's tough to figure it out. I think it's the same this year. Bottom line is, come NCAA tournament time, I think the Big Ten is going to be set up for a lot of teams making deep runs, including the 2 teams we saw yesterday.
Yeah, when you play in a tough conference like the Big Ten, and even back in the day where the Big East was like that big deal, you play those games every week, week in and week out, and you go, 500 in conference. But then you end up making a deep run into the tournament because you're battle tested and everything like that. And I'm sure that's what a lot of Big Ten teams are banking on. I guess Illinois and Minnesota are banking on that. They're banking on being like a 7, 8, 9 seed in the Big Dance, and that battle testing inside the Big Ten that give them the ability to make a run into the tournament.
More Facebook feed here as we close out this part of the show. Trey Green also says go blue.
They coming out.
By the way, but don't worry, I've made sure, okay, on the color theme of the show, it's all in red right now. So even though he's saying go blue, his name is surrounded in red. I just wanted to, but no, Trey, I should have just said that, because he goes on to say that I love your guys' show. You guys definitely call this show down the middle, which, by the way, that is something, and I appreciate that. I love when people notice that, because I've definitely definitely have taken pride in that since starting in radio, is that my goal was to never become that homer host, that you can have a team that's like the Browns a few years ago, 0-16, and having someone tell you how great they are. Or when Ohio State loses to a team like Purdue, actually having people out there trying to convince you that that's a good loss. I'm like, no, it's a bad loss. You just need to tell people it's a bad loss because it's a bad loss. And if people can't handle it, then whatever. That's their problem, not mine. But no, we do try to keep it as fair down the middle, down the middle as possible.
What's his name again? I'm sorry.
His name is Trey Green.
Trey
Blue. We're going to call him Trey Blue.
Trey Blue. Shaw. How do you guys feel about me calling Michigan a basketball school? Because I believe it's a valid statement.
And I don't know why people would be offended at that. Outside of being offended, you need to be offended with your own school then, with Harbaugh. But there's nothing wrong with, man, if Michigan was living up to what they should be in football mixed with what they're doing in basketball. I mean, Michigan might be, if football would carry its weight, Michigan would be looked at as the number one combo in all of college athletics as far as the two big moneymakers being college football and college basketball, no doubt about it. Ohio State's close. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Alabama's doing pretty solid right now. They might have a coach of the year candidate with what they're doing this season. But one thing, keep in mind, we talked before the break. Juwan Howard's my coach of the year right now, and we've never seen in the Naismith. We just went and looked with Anthony Grant winning it last year. If Juwan Howard wins it this year, which I believe he should be the front runner, we've never seen back-to-back African-American coaches win the Naismith Coach of the Year award. So I think that would be a pretty cool feat right there. But Juwan Howard deserves it. Michigan's been an awesome story. Still a lot of basketball left to be played between now and Selection Sunday. But, man, you can't – what's made Michigan even more impressive, we keep talking all year. Man, Duke, are they struggling? Because, what are they struggling for? Is it because of COVID? Jay Williams, former Duke Blue Devil, came on the show. And, I love Jay, but he even tried using the COVID excuse as to why them in North Carolina and Kentucky. I'm like, how can you use COVID as an excuse for those programs while everyone else is thriving? Michigan they started out hot, missed multiple weeks because of COVID, and then they come back and they've beat some of the best teams in the Big Ten. They've picked up right where they left off. That's great coaching, keeping a team mentally and physically ready during a time off due to the pandemic. You can't say enough about the job that they've done.
Props to Juwan Howard. Props to everybody on there. You talked about Phil Martelli, St. Joe's old coach. They got Howard Isley on the coaching staff. Howard Isley used to
St. Joe's let Martelli go, and they are absolutely embarrassing. And you're going to see come Wednesday night when the Flyers play them, by the way. They are absolutely garbage.
Howard Isley,
holy moly,
former NBA player. He played for the Utah Jazz and everything like that. That coaching staff is stacked. And those are just like the big name guys. You got to talk about some of the other guys that's out there doing all the grunt work, like recruiting and things like that, man. So you got to salute the coaching staff that Michigan has. And it was a great game. And obviously I was rooting for the Buckeyes, but all in all, it was a great game. And hopefully they meet again in the Big Ten tournament.
I think they will. And I do want to say this too, because yes, we're being a little bit too lovey-dovey with Michigan. So let's, but that was a hell of a win. Like I felt I was angry that Ohio State lost yesterday, but I'm like, that was an impressive win. It was just a good, hard-fought win. Real quick, Trey Green says, they got to prove themselves on the football field. It's been way too long, gentlemen. Absolutely. It's been way too long as far as the football program is concerned. But basketball, Juwan Howard has taken what we've seen Coach Beilein do and take it to that next level. But I don't care. I mean, the loss yesterday sucks, but man, Chris Holtmann, that Ohio State team is legit. Like that team is a Sweet Six. Or that team is an Elite Eight, Final Four caliber team. They're going to have to. I mean, that game could have gone either way. Michigan had 10 threes in the first half.
Yeah. And
when Ohio State was down 2 at halftime, I said, I'm like, oh man, that's tough. They're losing at half. I'm like, no, they're winning at half. Ohio State's winning because anytime, I promise you, go through any box score. Any box score where a team has 10 threes in the first half, they're up double digits.
Right.
They are throttling their opponent. When you have 10 threes in the first half, I promise you, you are throttling your opponent. They led by 2, and it was off of a defensive collapse on the final play of the half or whatever. Otherwise, it's tied at half. Ohio State was fortunate to even be in that half. But that's just how good of a percentage they were shooting as well, just weren't shooting well from behind the three-point line. So then Michigan goes cold from the outside in the second half, but then it's like as much pressure as Ohio State was trying to take away from the three-point line. That's where Michigan started dominating down low with Dickinson, and it was
Liddell needs some help down there on the boards, man. He needs some help on the glass, man. He can't.
They need a couple Greg Odens, man. They need a couple Odens. And
you really can't depend on your 6'8" center to be out here banging with a 7-footer, man. Like, that's just like not going to turn out well. But I mean, offensively, it turns out awesome because he's able to create his own shot, hit threes, take people off the dribble. So it's a give and take, man. You gotta take the good with the bad. And like I said, ultimately, they were right there in the game. I mean, it wasn't blowout. Like, they were right there. They had a chance to win. I like our chances if they meet again.
Vincent Waller on Facebook says Dickinson has been awesome all season. 7 Big Ten Freshman of the Week awards, and they were off for 3. Yes, thank you. They were off for 3 weeks, not 2. I said 2. 3 weeks. They were off for 3 weeks. Michigan can beat you in many different ways. In my opinion, Illinois doesn't match up well with them. OSU was a tougher game. Either way, those 3 teams, those 3 matchups, it's going to be fun down the stretch. All right, we'll get back into some more of that later on. But, man, what a game over the weekend. And like I said, that was the first college basketball game of the year that I felt the entire country actually cared about. I mean, it was all over Twitter. It was all over social media. People genuinely, thoroughly cared, Buckeye or Michigan fans or not. It was just a fun game for the first time all season. And like I said, it gave me all the March Madness feels. It gave me the excitement of the build to the game. It gave me the entertainment of watching the game. It was just a fun back and forth matchup, and then the pit in my stomach of my team losing. That's all the March Madness feels that you need right there. That sums it up. I mean, that basically that's everything. Real quick too, as we close this part of the show out, I do got to give a shout out to the Dayton Flyers over the weekend, Kev. Like, St. Louis was, one of the top teams in the A-10, looked at to be a team that was going to be an at-large team, and I think that their at-large opportunities, I think they've shot themselves in the foot. Dayton didn't just beat them on Friday on ESPN. They literally just annihilated them. 76-53 was the final, and it was actually not even that close. It just later, it was even bigger than that. But again, it was senior night. Jalen Crutcher, 19 points in his final game at UD Arena, or was it? I mean, we saw UD play like that yesterday. The A-10 announced the scheduling change that the finals are going to be held at UD Arena. The A-10 finals will be at UD Arena. So there is a chance that Jalen Crutcher may not have played his last game. On Friday, I was like, there's no way that they're going to get to the A-10 tournament, but they come out the way that they did Friday. Back-to-back games where they've had that large of a lead. Unfortunately, they let that lead slip whenever, of course, they played Rhode Island the game before. But there was no coming back for St. Louis. They punched them in the mouth. And I think that's the kind of the win you need heading in to the conference tournament. But the problem is here's what I don't like that the Flyers have coming up. If they would have had St. Louis to close out the regular season, I think there would have been a huge momentum win to take into the A-10 tournament. The problem is now you're at St. Joe's on Wednesday, and you have St. Bonaventure to close it out. But that St. Joe's game scares me, not because I think St. Joe's is good, but I think they've won like 1 game all season. I mean, they're horrible. They're horrible. Absolutely horrible. I don't anticipate UD losing to them, but UD has had a habit of playing down to the caliber of their opponent, and that's why that game worries me. So I'm hoping that this win on Friday wasn't just all for nothing. I hope that they build off that and can continue the run over that. Wright State closed out their regular season too, Kev, and they finished as co-champions. They've won the Horizon League for 3 straight seasons now.
Yes, sir.
They split it with Cleveland State. The algorithm makes no sense, or whatever it is that the formula that they came up with. It was like a BCS type formula, but there's a reason that football went away from the BCS. Just throwing that out there. But it is what it is. Wright State's a 2 seed. But look, they're, like I said, 100 spots better than every other team in the conference in the Ken Pom and the net, which means nothing because all that matters is taking care of business out on the floor.
Yep.
And that's what they're going to have to do. But they don't play again until I think a week from tomorrow. Some of the first round games start on Thursday or whatever. I think it's even after that. I got to pull it up. I should know this stuff, right?
That type of stuff always worries me, man. You end your regular season and you take a week off to start your conference tournament. I don't think you should wait that long. Like, guys get rusty. You know what I'm saying? Like, basketball is a rhythm sport, and we talked about it earlier in the season where teams were taking COVID pauses, and then people are shocked that they get blew out when they come back from being off for 2 weeks. Like, it's a rhythm sport, so I don't think they really should be waiting that long to play their conference tournament.
Yeah, Wright State won't play again until March 2nd, so a week from tomorrow. And then after that, they won't play again until the 8th. So usually the conference tournament, it's held in like a 4 or 5 day period. Now it's being spread out. They gave themselves a couple weeks to get that conference tournament in. So there's that.
So they 10 days between games.
What's that?
That's 10 days between games for the Wright State basketball men's team.
Yep.
And the women's team are also conference champions, right?
Yeah, the women's team won their conference. So real quick, I want to say this too. Usually it's, if you win the regular season, you get the 1 seed, whatever, you have the NIT to fall back on. There's rumblings right now that the NIT is going to be 16 teams, and it's all going to be held at Madison Square Garden, and it's not, conference champions, regular season conference champs who don't win their conference tournament. There's no auto bids for the NIT this year, or there's no guaranteed, there's no auto bids for the NIT. So it's basically, there is no postseason. You either win your damn conference tournament or that's it. So I just feel like there's, which it stinks because not just for Wright State, but there's so many good teams that have had such great seasons that it's like it comes down to this. So like the conference tournament needs to be everyone's main priority. Yes, the NCAA tournament, I get that, but you're not guaranteed anything in the next couple of weeks outside of your conference tournament, as we learned a year ago. So that needs to be the main priority moving forward. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Oh, real quick, here's a tease for you. There will be fans allowed at Great American Ballpark this year. There will be fans allowed, but just how many? Keep in mind, full capacity at Great American Ballpark is 42,319. There is a certain percent that has been allocated towards permitted capacity for this upcoming season. What is that percent? We'll discuss next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy and windy, a high near 40. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy, a low around 32. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 42. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Looking for a career and not just a job? Then Dayton Progress is looking for you. Dayton Progress is the leading international manufacturer of tools and tooling components for the metal stamping industries and has immediate openings for entry-level machinist. No prior experience is required, and Dayton Progress will train you, starting with the basics. They offer competitive wages with merit increases after 90 days of employment. They also offer private health care, including vision and dental, free life insurance, a contributory 401k, bonus programs, promotions from within, company service recognition, and 100% tuition reimbursement to local state colleges. Dayton Progress is a great place to work and has been a Dayton landmark for over 70 years. Apply today by emailing your resume to jobs@DaytonProgress.com. That's jobs@DaytonProgress.com. Dayton Progress is an equal opportunity employer. The Paranzino brothers hold monthly online building material and home improvement auctions featuring quality home improvement products. Go to pbauctions.com for all the details and bid on name brand home improvement products, including flooring, kitchen, doors, decking, barn siding, trim, plumbing, lighting, tools, and so much more. All to be sold online. Visit pbauctions.com for preview times and bidding details on the next monthly auction near you. And we'll see you online at the Paranzino Brothers Auction. Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices, coverage, and plan details.
You ever lie awake at night, can't sleep, not wanting to see what time it is because that's just going to keep you up? Tonight, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night. Unlike other sleep aids, our extended release melatonin helps you fall asleep naturally and then slowly releases so you stay asleep longer through the night. It's non-habit forming with no next day grogginess. ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night so you can fall asleep and stay asleep. Available at retailers near you.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Buonasera.
Buonasera. How can I make the most of waiting for my next big vacation?
Translate your questions into goals by investing with Merrill Edge Self-Directed. It's more accessible than you think, with helpful planning tools plus free online stock and ETF trades, so you can keep practicing your pronunciation. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/withinreach to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated. Registered broker-dealer, member SIPC. Other fees may apply. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Procter & Gamble, the company behind some of your favorite brands like Tide and Charmin and Pampers, is now hiring entry-level technicians at the Dayton Distribution Center. P&G is offering a competitive pay rate of $16.44 per hour for 8 and 12-hour rotating shifts, plus an additional per-hour rotating shift incentive. P&G offers a comprehensive benefit package on day one, including medical, dental, and 401k. For more information, visit pgcareers.com. Search for Dayton and apply today. Procter & Gamble is an equal opportunity employer.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Give your home a new look with Tarkett laminate flooring. Tarkett combines design and performance to provide you the looks you love. Durable and water-resistant Aquafloor Plus laminate is $199 a square foot after 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through February 27th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
DSC. There are so many razors out there. How do you choose which one's right for you? Well, at Dollar Shave Club, we got you. With a 6-blade cartridge for daily shavers with short hair and a 4-blade cartridge for less frequent shavers with longer hair. Still confused? Well, we put both blades in one new starter box, so you can test drive both. Check out dollarshaveclub.com/ESPN, dollarshaveclub.com/ESPN, and visit DSC at your nearest store. You've got questions, we got answers. Welcome to the club.
Now at a store near you. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Ugh, nothing's worse than starting trouble. We can help you out. We can start with a free battery test. That way we'll know if your battery is causing the issue. It could be your starter or your alternator. You don't want to waste money on the wrong fix. And if you do need a new battery, we've got you covered with a wide selection of replacement batteries. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2019.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. A Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 6677 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 6677. Enjoy.
Merrill Guided Investing. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner, and Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor. Member SIPC.
Buckeye fans, every Monday night at 6 p.m., make sure to keep it locked in right here on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes for the Buckeye Roundtable Show. Paul Keels and the crew will bring you the biggest Buckeye headlines on the football field and on the hardwood. It's the Buckeye Roundtable Show, Monday nights at 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We do have the Buckeye Roundtable coming up 6 o'clock, immediately following our show later tonight. Again, Paul Keels and the gang will take over 6 o'clock, 6 to 8 every Monday night. You can catch the Buckeye Roundtable. Usually that show just stretches through the college football season, but they expanded that this season to go through college basketball, so we're pretty excited about that. So make sure you continue to hang out with the station immediately following our show for the Buckeye Roundtable. All right. So news earlier today during the Governor Mike DeWine press conference, he was asked about his thoughts on the upcoming baseball season, Major League Baseball season. Governor Mike DeWine, and this is a tweet again as well from C. Trent Rosecrans, covers the Cincinnati Reds for The Athletic, says the Governor Mike DeWine expects baseball to start the season with 30% capacity. So I'm assuming for the Dayton, that would mean for the Dayton Dragons as well, Kev?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, they haven't played in a year. Like, why wouldn't they be on that slate as well?
So I guess so for Great American so for the Dragons, it's about 6,800 fans, according to the Google. The Google says 6,800 fans, so whatever the 30% of that is, or a couple thousand. So there's that. Well, less than a couple thousand, but still. For as far as Great American Ballpark, that Great American Ballpark at full capacity, Kev, is 42,319. So we're talking 12,000 fans at Great American Ballpark. So I found that interesting. But I am curious from Reds fans with this season fastly approaching. Keep in mind, the Reds' very first spring training game will be this Sunday as they take on Cleveland, the Cleveland baseball team, for their first spring training game of the season. And they're on every day. Starting Sunday, the Reds, I believe, are on every day in the month of March for spring training, barring any kind of weather cancellations or anything, or COVID, of course, the new cancellation concern of all concerns, right? So, again, Great American Ballpark, we're looking at about 12,000 fans. I'm curious, doors will be open, gates will be open. How many of you are making that trip? How many are you comfortable enough to go to games? I'm telling you right now, I'm beyond comfortable to go to Great American Ballpark. If it fits 42,000, Kev, and if it fits 42 and they're only letting 12,000 in, you ain't gonna be sitting by anybody.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it's going to be 12,000 people compacted in on top of one another. I mean, if I have a chance to get a ticket, I guess the big question I have is what our ticket price is going to look like. As the season has gone on, we were starting to look at tickets for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I think it doesn't help that they're never seen the team just regress that quickly in the middle of a season for no reason, by the way. It's not like injury is leading to it. The tickets, you could still go watch a Cleveland Cavalier NBA game for $50. So I'm curious what Great American Ballpark, again, you have 80 home games.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know what a fair price would be. Okay, forget fair because they're never fair. But I don't know what a realistic price would be during a truncated capacity season.
What I want to know is where the seat's going to be. Because, like, let's say you're in the upper deck where I like to live when I go to baseball games. Like, are you really about to make me be all the way up there? Can I be, like, on the down with a expensive seats are? Can I get risk being hit by a ball? That's how close I'm trying to be if I go to a game.
That's a good point. I mean, if you're spreading people out, I mean, but even when I was looking at available tickets for Cavs games and even Pacers games, they have you spread out all over. Right. I think it's going to be a combo of both. I don't think they're going to block off the upper deck. I don't think that all 12,000 seats are going to be down between, around the, behind home plate, first and third base. I think it's going to be a combo. I think you're going to have cheaper tickets that you could probably get up in the upper balcony, and then obviously the more expensive tickets down low. I just think everyone's going to be super spread out. The NBA, I've never understood why they're doing that, but again, it's a way for them to still get max dollar on tickets down low and still be able to have more affordable tickets up top. I think you're going to see that. If you only make tickets available down low, I feel like you're going to be in that situation where you have to pay, top dollar to get those. And I think if they have tickets available up top, it's a way to make it a little bit more dollar friendly, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. So you're 100% going to be going to games. I have no problem going. I mean, look, I'm not going to be sitting next to strangers. They're not going to. I mean, it's all going to be social distance. They're not going to it's not like you're going to be shoulder to shoulder with people. Which, by the way, I hate that. And like I've always, there's a part of me that has always enjoyed the Reds being kind of bad, is because when I go to the ballpark, I could just spread out. I've told you before, anytime that I've bought tickets, especially later in the season when tickets are cheaper, I'll buy 4 tickets just so that Nora and I could sit in the middle, and then we don't have anyone to our left and anyone to our right. I don't like, being elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder with people. I always, especially in the middle of July and August, I'll get stuck next to some, and I'm overweight too, so don't get all, he's fat shaming. Knock it off, people. Stop it. I get stuck sitting next to an overweight individual who likes to roll their sleeves up and their sweat's rolling down their arm, and they keep, when people start walking down the middle of the lane or whatever, they stand up and their shoulders always bump into me, and I'm like, oh God, stop touching me. Don't touch. And that's how the worst experience I ever had at a game
Okay, Nora and I, this is before I started working at the station, we got tickets like front row and out in right field. I couldn't wait to go. Now, there was this woman who had rolled her sleeves up and she was sitting right next to me, but she had these disgusting, it was July. She had these disgusting, nasty sores on her arm and she had her shirt rolled up. And then she had the sunblock. So more power to you. Protect your skin. I get it. But she's just caking her arm in sunscreen. I could still smell it. Okay. She's just caking her arm in sunscreen. And I just happened to like kind of glance over and like the sores, like they were like trimmed in the white sunscreen and the real red in the middle. And the lady and her nasty kid, the kid's running up and down, and the lady kept like leaning in and rubbing my arm. And I'm like, I looked at Nora, I'm like, we got to go. I don't care what seats we have. I really do not care. We need to get out of here. So at the time when the Toby Keith Bar and Grill was still there, right by Great American Ballpark, that's where we went to finish the game because the lady kept, and it was sold out. So we kept bumping. There's a bobblehead giveaway. Once I got my bobblehead, we got the hell out of there. But
my goodness.
That was the worst experience I've ever had. People always ruin it. So I love the social distancing baseball experience, to be honest with you.
I'm like that at the movies. I don't like people sitting next to me at the movies. So I feel you, man.
Or like when they come and sit right by you, and then you happen to kind of glance down, and there's like all these seats. I'm like, why did you have to sit right here? You have all this room. Why are you sitting right here? Like, it is so bad. Like, it drives me nuts. So Tad Parks on Facebook says season ticket prices didn't change, and they moved our seats to comply with their seating pods of a group of 6. Tad, and thank you for reaching out. Tad, are you talking about the Dragons? Or are you talking about the Reds? Who are you talking about in this current situation right here? I am curious. Again, Tad says season ticket prices didn't change and they moved our seats to comply with their seating pods of a group of 6. So it sounds like what he's talking about, if me and 5 friends want to go to a game, we're going to have 5 seats all together, and then there's going to be no one around us for, say, like within a row or 2 or within a couple seats. So, but I have to anticipate or not have no interest in going.
I'm not going anywhere. I'll lie. I actually went out on Saturday.
To what? Check your mail? I mean, what? Like what
No, I went to what's the thing? What do they call it? The Great Escape.
We're going there this weekend. Yeah,
went to do that. My best friend, his wife's birthday was this weekend. Obviously, in a normal world, we'll be going out to dinner, hanging out, drinks, No, we went to do that instead. It was fun. It was a blast. I didn't help at all. I was terrible because like I've never been, so I didn't know what to expect. So like that was like my first outing since I would like to say October. First time I did anything since October.
All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. If you're just tuning in, earlier today, Governor Mike DeWine's press conference, he says that he expects baseball to start the season with 30% capacity to at least start. Now, keep in mind, that can all change, and I'm trying to be positive here and say that it can increase as the season goes on, but it can also decrease. You have no clue what this virus can. Actually, we do have an idea of what this virus can do. Basketball fans, college basketball fans especially, can tell you exactly what this virus can do, as it knocked out an entire March Madness last year. But right now that number can increase and get higher. But I think 12,000 fans at Great American Ballpark, 12,500. I think that's fair. I think that's a good fair amount. I think you could space everyone out comfortably. Look, there are games I've been to that 25,000 fans are there, which is a good chunk, and it still feels empty in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Like it's going like 12,000 fans is nothing at that ballpark. It really isn't. On a bad night, a bad night at Great American Ballpark in late September when the team is definitely out of it, like really out of it, not end of April out of it like usual. We're talking like September, like they have their September call-ups in June. I mean, it's that out of it. A bad night is still about 19 to 20,000 fans. So this is going to be real low, even with that.
Yeah, and it's something that I realized this past weekend, that it's so easy for people like myself and other people who've been working from home and hasn't missed a paycheck and fortunate enough to still be employed and everything like that. So it's so easy for people like myself and others to say like, oh, they shouldn't be doing this. They shouldn't be allowing fans in there. Well, you know what? That's them allowing fans into these stadiums. Yeah, it's money for the actual league, it's money for the team, but it's also money for the people that actually work the concession stands, work the ticket office, is money for them. So people like myself that berated the NFL and the NBA for opening their doors saying they should be closed, it's a bigger concept to this, because those teams are going to be making money, but you know what, it's other people that work there that depend on that money daily throughout the baseball season. They depend on that check from Major League Baseball and the Reds. So I'm all for it, man. If they make it safe for not only the players, but more importantly, the fans and the workers, then I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it, for everybody going down there to the stadium, having a good time watching their favorite baseball team play, because it's keeping a lot of other people employed.
You know who I'm really happy for? The guy that beats on the buckets outside the Great American Ballpark.
Absolutely.
Like he has to just be, totally jacked about all of this coming up. All right, more of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash on the other side. Don't go anywhere. And real quick, too, want to throw this out there. Season ticket holders for the Reds and the Dragons, I'm curious, what have you been told? What are you expecting? So Tad Parks, we didn't hear back from Tad regarding whether he was talking about the Reds or the Dragons. I haven't really looked into the Dragons to understand. I know Ann, our listener, Ann, she's all about the Dragons. So we'll have to ask her whenever she jumps into the conversation here. But Tad says that season ticket prices didn't change and they moved our seats so they didn't change. So is that a good or a bad thing? If the season ticket prices didn't change, then that means you probably got a ticket at a decent price, considering the demand for tickets will go up and you have less tickets to give out. So the NBA and the NFL, they shot their prices up through the roof.
Right.
So if Major League Baseball kept their season ticket prices the same, I would think that's a good thing for those that still take advantage of it and go. You didn't have to pay more to go.
Yeah.
Like, you're actually getting a good deal. It's crazy. I mean, by you keeping your current plan, it's better than, the college basketball teams that make their teams pay thousands of dollars just to, save my seat. Hey, if you ever do that, hey, save my seat. Seat check. The Dayton Flyers had one of the most expensive seat checks of all time. It's unreal. Doug Toby says, at this rate, the Dragons will sell out every game for the next 10 years.
Be nice.
Look, there's sellouts and then there's Dayton Dragons sellouts. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. But you know what? I think they'll be legit sellouts because I think people are dying to go to a baseball game.
Yeah.
I think they're dying. I'm looking forward to being able to go to a baseball game here in the coming months. I promise you that much. All right, more of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
There's nothing better than a fresh-made home-style meal, but not everyone loves the hassle of cooking. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, home-style happens here with our famous 12-piece family meal at a great price. This famous family meal includes 12 mixed pieces of Lee's fresh, never-frozen chicken that is honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to perfection, plus 3 large sides and 6 fluffy biscuits. Get a home-style meal made easy today with Lee's 12-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune in to Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
O'Reilly. Count on the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your car. Get maximum cooling system performance for 10 years or 300,000 miles with Peak Long Life Universal Pre-Mixed Antifreeze and Coolant. On sale now for just $5.99 after mail-in rebate. Plus, earn double O-Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Why would I quit my 9-to-5 to start a 9 to who knows when gaming company? Or eat pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Oh, I gotta get that. How could my favorite tech be an app that helps run my business? No offense, smartphone. None taken. Or fill my garage with enough servers to power a small country? It's because I wanted to make it big in gaming. And QuickBooks suite of tools helped me get there.
Intuit QuickBooks helps small businesses be more successful. Learn more at QuickBooks.com.
Maxwell, he was scratching and losing some hair. My vet, she says, oh, he must be allergic to chicken. Another vet said it's a drain. Third vet said it's the weather. Then somebody said DINOVITE.com. It took 2 weeks, and the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out. The Dinovite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Tie ball game with the shot clock winding down now. Jones takes the ball to point off the high screen and roll. He puts up the shot at the buzzer, and it's
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Dayton Flyers basketball fans can't make it to the arena this season, but want to experience a safe electric college game day atmosphere? Timothy's Bar and Grill is the spot to support the Flyers all season long. Follow Timothy's Bar and Grill on Facebook and Twitter for select game day specials. Go Flyers!
New to the Wendy's 2 for $5 lineup is their classic chicken sandwich. Go grab a 2 for $5 deal and pick 2 faves like a Dave Single, Nugs, and now the classic chicken sandwich 2 for $5. Price and participation may vary, limited time.
Dayton Flyers basketball fans, don't miss Talking Out Loud with Sully every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Game recaps, game previews, visits from former Flyer greats, and more. It's a show by the fans for the fans. Talking Out Loud with Sully, Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Wear red and be loud. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
So the video that went viral over the weekend of the camp, the Cam Newton camp, and no, Jim Boeheim, I'm not talking about Cam Newton's parents and people in his ear. I'm talking about an actual football camp. So this kid at Cam Newton's camp just starts popping off, just literally calling him, you're a free agent, you're a free agent, you're a has-been, you're a has-been, just going off. And Cam, you could tell it rattled him at the beginning, but did a good job of kind of bringing it back in. In fact, there was a second video that made its rotation through, Kev, where he went and sought out the kid, and then the crowd gathered around the two because he started popping back off at Cam again, as opposed to, and Cam was like, look, this is a thing because you made it a thing. I came to you to ask you about your team and to ask you about you and your high school career. And he said, YouTube me. You know who I am. Don't be dumb and act like you don't know who I am. I mean, it was just really uncomfortable. I'm like, and what do you do in that situation if you're Cam? Like Cam, Cam, to his credit, so a coach, the coach of that team started to get mad at the kid, and he goes, no, don't get mad at him. He's fine. Like, I think Cam was like, no, let him act that way. If you want to protect him and get him to stop, that's your prerogative. But don't defend me. I'm fine. I came after to just see what his deal was. Like, tried to, he's paid to be part of the camp, whatever it was, and all that. So I thought that was cool that he sought him. He went after him, trying to calm it down. The only reason the crowd gathered again is because, of course, he started popping off again, and it was just uncomfortable. But I guess, according to this report from ESPN, Kev, that the teen ended up the high school football player apologizes for trash talking Cam Newton on viral video. Let's be honest, I don't really care about your apology. You got what you wanted. That's what kids in our day and age now are all about, though. They want that viral moment. Mm-hmm. And you being just another camper at his camp, and okay, cool. But hey, you being known as the guy that went off on Cam Newton, we're talking about him now. I have no clue who this kid is, but here we are talking about it. But no, nonetheless, Cam Newton back in the headlines, but he did nothing wrong. Like this doesn't need to be twisted on Cam Newton. He literally did nothing wrong in this scenario. In fact, I thought he handled himself real well, and he went after him to try to diffuse the situation. Like, hey, I don't want you to leave the camp ticked off at me. What did I do? I thought it was kind of cool that he did that, although it did open the door for a potential mess if the kids, escalate.
Oh, absolutely. We were talking about this before we jumped on the air today about how some teenagers, and this is a teenager thing, like they just love to pick.
I mean, I'm 31.
Oh, yeah,
I'm 31. What are you talking about?
Sorry, teenagers. Teenagers and I don't mean to put you all as guys in a bad light, but this is a thing that some people like to do. They like to pick.
There goes our 12 plus numbers.
And then when they want the fame that you give them. So obviously it's kudos to Cam Newton because, I mean, it is his camp. He could have pulled a high and mighty and said, oh, guess what? Your entire team's out of the tournament because you want to be extra. He could have did that. And you know what? There's a lot of petty people out there like myself that probably would have did something like that. But like, you know what? That's cool, man. You know what? You the man. That's cool. But you can't be the man here. You and your team have to leave. Sorry, coach. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all your teammates. Blame him when y'all on your little bus ride home. That's the reason why. But like when people do things like this, they're begging for attention. And sometimes you got to give them what they want. And kudos to Cam Newton for being a better man than I am, for not egging the kid on and kind of, trying to defuse the situation. Cam Newton does a ton, and a lot of these athletes do a ton in the communities and put on camps and all that type of stuff. So these young athletes can show their talent and potentially get a scholarship to go play football.
Cam does a lot of camps for free camps,
free camps,
and this was one of them. I didn't know that. I'm reading it now. This was a free camp. They didn't pay. Like this is a free 7-on-7.
Look, man. We can talk about how athletes are spoiled and how much money they make. Look, man. At the end of the day, man, they don't have to do none of this stuff that they do. Yeah, it's a tax write-off. Yeah, I know. But they don't have to do this. So when athletes are doing these things like this, it's cool to be appreciative. It's cool to say thank you. It's cool to, go win. Yeah, it's cool to go win and show off with your teammates and everything like that. But it's not cool to upstage the host of the event and call him a has-been and everything like that. Because Cam could have said a lot of rude things about you. And and he doesn't even need to know anything about you. But he could have made assumptions about you because he's a millionaire, and he could have said that, and you want to be where I'm at. You wish you could do what I'm doing. Like, he could have said all those things, but Cam didn't. And I commend Cam for that.
Yeah, Cam Newton says that people want to see me arguing with another young man and see me get in my feelings. But the truth is this: I impact kids' lives in a positive way. Make no mistake about it. I allow kids to realize they're out by using their football talents to get them to the next level. And in most cases, get them out of the hood, referencing the free camps that he puts on for a lot of inner city, schools and just areas around the country. But I did find that interesting as far as that goes. But the kid did provide like on their notes on their phone, he typed out this long. The kid's name is Seth Owens, or just Seth Owens. I've never seen his name is Seth with the J at the beginning. I've never seen that, but more power to you. Just Seth Owens. I'm assuming that's how you would pronounce it, unless the J is silent. No idea. But just Seth Owens says, I'm not reading this whole thing, but first and foremost, I want to express my deepest apologies to Cam Newton, my entire Oregon. But so someone made him put this out there.
Of course,
like this kid,
mom or dad got to him.
But no, it is what we don't really need to bash the kid any more than we have to either. He made a mistake. It was stupid, and you move on from it. But the bottom line is, I just thought that was uncomfortable. Like, and Cam, you just have to sit there and continue to take it if you're Cam Newton, because anything you say or do, you're in the wrong from that point out. And that kid knew that and took advantage of that. But it is what it is. So Cam Newton, the next big question is, who are you playing for next year? So that's all. That's all that anyone's going to be paying attention to. It might be the New England Patriots once again. Hour 2 next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. When you need a dependable body shop, we're here to help, repairing all makes and models. Our technicians have over 125 years experience. That means we can repair your vehicle quickly and efficiently. Our department is state-of-the-art with new equipment to get you back on the road quickly. We offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Need legal help? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Have you heard about our new help center? It's located at the Montgomery County Courthouse, providing legal information and forms. And we also share programs and resources that may be available to you. Let us help you navigate the court system. Visit us online at courthouse2u.com for more info.
Listen to this radio station on the radio.com app anytime, anywhere. Listen to more than 300 stations along with more than 3,000 podcasts from your home area or across the U.S., all free.
With the radio.com app.
You could continuously cough for hours on end, or you could take Delsym Cough. Delsym Cough gives you 12 cough relief hours. Visit Delsym, DELSYM.com. Use as directed.
1410 ESPN Radio is Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes on the hardwood. Football may be over, but basketball is just heating up. Support Chris Holtman and his Buckeyes as they battle it out in the toughest conference in all of college basketball, the Big Ten. Every dribble, every shot, every Buckeyes win. Catch it all right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We are live here in hour number 2, 457-9464. That's the number to join in on the conversation. You can also watch the show live on our ESPN Dayton YouTube channel or live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, and you can jump in on the conversation. We talked about how it'll be 30% capacity for the upcoming baseball season, at least here in the state of Ohio. So that that impacts us here locally with, of course, the Cincinnati Reds. Great American Ballpark just being an hour south of here. 43,000 is the capacity at Great American Ballpark. 30% capacity. It's roughly going to be around 12,000 fans. So we thought the question, how many of you are going to be going? And by the way, 12,000, how many, I'm curious, of that 12,000, general pub, or what's that called? General seating, general pub, whatever you want to call it, I guess. But
Gen Pop,
there's going to be season ticket holders. So we heard from a season ticket holder earlier in the show from Tad Park saying that the season ticket prices didn't change, that they moved the seats to comply with their seating pods for about a group of 6. Now we haven't been able to get a response from Tad since about whether that is Red season tickets or Dragon season tickets. But I'm curious. 457-9464 for you Dragons fans, Reds fans. How many of you are planning on attending games this summer? You will be able to. There's going to be a 30% capacity. I know the Reds and Dragons, I don't think have come out and officially announced that yet, but you would have to assume with the news today or with the answer from Governor DeWine in his press conference that that's about where we're heading, and we expected. In fact, the people I've spoken to with the Reds too, we've expected that as well, to have some fans. But of the fans out there, how many of you are going? Who's all going to Great American Ballpark this summer? I want to hear from you at 457-9464. We can also take your responses on Facebook. Just head to Facebook and search the Justin Kinner Show. But the other thing I want to get into involves Joey Votto here in just a moment, but we will do that here in a second. But Kev, let's go to the phones. Who's up first?
We got DoorDash Ray.
DoorDash Ray, what up, man? How are you?
Hey, what's up, buddy? Hey, look, I just wanted to chime in real quick on the Cam Newton thing. I've been around athletes before, and Brandon Phillips is in particular one where, man, a lot of these guys, they don't ask for any more limelight than they already have. A lot of them do a lot of stuff anonymous. A lot of these guys, they go out of their way, man, to try to remain in the shadows when they're helping out kids and then helping out communities and stuff. I mean, I've even seen certain guys who have their own football camps named after them be on both sides of that, where they're like, you think they're going to be awesome and really, involved and stuff. And then when you see them out and, I've seen one guy in particular ask this player for an autograph at his particular camp. And, the player was like frustrated and like pissed because the kid asked him. But I've seen both sides. I don't know a whole lot of athletes, nor have I seen a whole bunch, but I've seen both sides of that in athletes, man. And I think nowadays, you got to be kind of careful. And these guys really do. Some of them are kind of jerks. Some of them just go out of their way without you even knowing they're doing things for people.
Well, to be fair, when we say that they're jerks, we label them jerks because, to them, they want to be just like anybody else. And I know we sit here as regular fans and say, oh, poor baby, you're a millionaire playing a kid's game. You need to just deal with it and deal with the fans that come your way. But that's not necessarily fair. Or, to expect them that if they're out trying to enjoy, buying groceries or being able to, go out to eat. I've heard Joey Votto, by the way, I've heard some stories about Joey Votto being one of the most unapproachable people when it comes to that. But then when you hear the story of how unapproachable he is, it's like, well, of course, think about if you're eating at a restaurant trying to enjoy your meal and someone's coming up constantly badgering you about something. I get what you're saying, but no, I know like sometimes I don't think the athletes are being jerks. I think they just want to, be able to live as normal of a life as possible, be able to buy their groceries without being interrupted, eat a meal without being interrupted. But it does come with the territory. If you want to be famous and make all that money, unfortunately, that's what comes with it.
Well, the jerk comment came from like a particular time where this particular athlete was at a function that was knowingly, involving people for that reason, like a meet and greet, and you were there for that. Not that they were out personally having dinner or anything, because I've seen people up at the what's the rib house up in Cincinnati? I can't remember the name of it now. Anyway, I've seen both sides of it, but I can understand. These guys do a lot that nobody even knows about, and I think we need to kind of take it easy on them, because you're right. People do say, "Oh well, poor millionaire, poor guy's actually out here, getting his hands dirty, blah blah blah." Yeah, he's complaining because of this or that, but at the same time, a lot of these guys do a lot for their communities, and they go back to where they grew up, and you just don't hear about a lot of things they're doing. A lot of the parks that they open, a lot of the neighborhood basketball grounds that they put out, and a lot of things that they do, rec centers and stuff. Man, they do a lot of stuff. If we really did some research in communities, you'd probably find hundreds of things that we don't even know about, where these guys come back home and really just help out. So
I get it. And like I said, I didn't even know Cam did these camps. The only reason we know that he does these camps now is because this went viral the way that it did. So, DoorDash Ray brings up a good point. A lot of these athletes do a lot of these camps that they don't even don't publicize it heavily, because a lot of it is giving back to a lot of communities, and that's what Cam Newton was doing. The only reason we even knew about this particular camp is because of this viral situation that ultimately ended up happening. The kid apologized. I'm sure his parents made him, but look, we do a lot of
and
things.
that's what parents should do.
So it is what it is.
I mean, we have great athletes from our area that put on camps, like Norris Cole puts on a camp every summer and everything like that. So there's tons of athletes locally and all across the country that do great things, and they need to be recognized for that, because when they do something wrong, best believe it's front page blotter every single time.
Yeah, and the reason this is different is this isn't a Cam Newton, we're at a football game and there's some kid yelling at Cam Newton on the field. It is whatever your opinion on that is. Okay, it's one thing, but it is what it is. That comes with the natural in-game check. But there's a camp. You don't need to be heckling people at camps. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
At his own camp.
His own camp.
Free for you.
And you're a kid. I mean, come on. All right. So he threw out the capacity, Great American Ballpark, 43,000, 30% of that, about 12,000. That's going to be the capacity for the upcoming season at Great American Ballpark. So I'm just curious, do people plan on going to games this coming up summer? Vince on Facebook says, I plan on going to a Reds game or two this season. To me, the lower amount of people there is a dream. No annoying seat neighbors. Thank you. That's exactly what I said earlier, Vincent. I can't stand that. And there could be an entire row, and we just happen to buy a couple tickets that always happen to be next to the other random person that happened to buy tickets in our row, and there's all these open seats, which again, you just move down, but it's just the point. That's always you got to be kidding me. All these damn seats in this row, and this is the one damn ticket this person bought after me and Nora bought these. It's frustrating, but it is what it is.
Principle.
Oh, poor me. I have to sit by people at a Major League Baseball game. Brian Schwederman says, no one cares about going to a baseball game. When does football start again?
A long time. Very long
There is
time.
football going on right now. Why with the HBCU games, how come ESPN hasn't picked those up, or are they on television at all? And it's not just HBCU, it's a lot of the conferences that opted out of the fall are playing now, and none of them are on TV.
Coming on that CBS channel that nobody has.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, can't say
I know I don't have it, because I tried to find the Jackson State game, and I don't have that channel on my cable provider. And neither do you, because I'm signing up for YouTube TV, and I got the little free day trial, and it's not on there either. So don't hold your breath.
YouTube TV, man, that's where it's at. So between the Reds, the Dragons, just trying to get a feel in the pulse of the area of how many people are going to. And again, you could be concerned of the virus, but again, like to Vincent's point, is the point I was trying to make earlier, is you could be concerned about the virus, but we're talking about 12,000 people. I've gone to games at Great American Ballpark with 25,000 people, and it still feels like a ghost town there. And that's what we like to call GABP in July, or April, or not, end of April, I should say. April, it's always pretty busy, right? Because everyone has a chance. But I'm also curious about the Dragons, and that's where our friend Ann Anderson. There you are, Ann. I was looking for you earlier. We knew you were going to chime in on this. She says, "Who cares about the Reds?" Ann. She goes, "I've been a season ticket holder for the Dragons for 20 plus years. I just want to go to a baseball game safely in Dayton." Ann, help us out here. Have you heard anything from the Dragons about the upcoming season as far as being able to attend the games? I know that they just, a lot of the minor leagues went through this shuffling of, Major League Baseball now controls these teams. This is an independent cycle now that's a part of the actual Major League Baseball umbrella. But with that, the schedules have come out. I'm just curious with the news that came out today, or at least what Governor DeWine said. There's going to be there's no official rule as of now. Yeah, she said nothing yet.
Nothing.
So that the last caller or the last one on Facebook, Kev, that mentioned this, I got to go back up and scroll up and find it. I can't remember what he said. I think his name was Tad. Either way, Tad said something about that the season ticket prices were the same. So he must have been talking about the Reds.
Goodness gracious. Like, I remember last year we were having this conversation about the Dragons and everything like that, and there was some type of mix-up and lack of communication between the Dragons and the season ticket holders about that upcoming season.
Was it lack of communication, or was it mix-up, or just no? It's in their defense. There was nothing to communicate. They couldn't. There was nothing to tell anyone like that, and they kept being strung along. I mean, we were heading in July, August, mid-August, heading into September, and then that's when the news officially was, "Hey, by the way, we're canceling the minor league season." I'm like, "We're heading into September. You're just now announcing that." We all figured that the season was going to be canceled. So very strange. Ann says they have a really weird schedule. No info yet about tickets, capacity, etc. And I think what I looked up online, they fit about 6,300 at Dragon Stadium. So with that, about 30%. I'm curious what that ticket price would be to get people in. They also have that big old lawn lot.
Yes, sir.
That's where I live. Actually, I like to stand. I like to stand at the Dragons games. I don't know all the names of all the little bars and stuff they have out there, but just like to go get my beer and go stand. They have the little bar area that you could just stand and overlook the ballpark and watch the
Dragon
game.
games are so fun, man. Shayla and I would normally go to at least 3 or 4 every year. You know what I'm saying? It's a good time, man. Minor league baseball brings that extra element. Unfortunately, minor league baseball really isn't all about winning and losing. It's really about the entertainment at the ballpark and everything like that. And the Dragons provide that. They provide a great entertainment source for, kids, adults, and everybody, man. So it's a bummer that they missed out on last season, and hopefully they'll have fans back in the building this year and people can go down there and have a good time.
All right. 457-9464. Back to the phones we go. We got Dickie. Dickie, how are you?
Oh, hey, Justin. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, did you read, what do you think about, I'm a big Hawk sports, about, what did you think about Barry Larkin going in the booth?
I love that. I love that they announced that. They did a lot of reshuffling. My guy, Danny Graves, who blocked me on social media, he's no longer with the Reds broadcast team. Jeff Picoro, who did not block me on social media, he's no longer with the Cincinnati Reds either. Jeff Picoro was there for a long time, over 20 plus years. He was there. I was surprised to see him go.
Did he just go on or what?
No, he wasn't brought back, because the statement he released was that, he would have loved to at least been brought back for 2 more years to get to 25. So, that was kind of surprising that they didn't bring him back. But I love the addition to Barry Larkin. Barry Larkin going to be a part of the broadcasting rotation. I love that.
You like Jim Day pretty good?
I really do like. I really enjoy Jim Day. I think he's better at a lot of the sideline reporting aspects of the player features and the in-game features. But I don't think he's the worst guy in the booth to call a game. But I think his strengths really are, out on the field and with the players.
Yeah, who is the guy, I grew up with Marty. Who's the guy that does the Reds on radio now? What's his name?
Oh, that's Tommy Thrall.
Tommy Thrall, do you like him?
I love Tommy Thrall. Tommy Thrall was the longtime voice in Pensacola when the Reds had an affiliate in Pensacola. He was there, and then he was brought in for the last season that Marty Brenneman was there, and then was of course brought back last year as the official voice.
Yeah. I kind of think. Do you think be any good this year, the Reds?
I think they're better than what people are saying. I mean, every projection out there has them winning between 70 and 80 games, and I think that they're much better than a 500 baseball team. I think the reason the Reds are getting a lot of this doubt is because there's so much unknown.
Yeah.
There's unknown about who the 5 in the rotation is going to be. There's the unknown of, will the guys like Castellanos and Moustakas, will they hit to the back of the baseball card, or will they continue to struggle last year as the team they hit 212? There's just a lot of unknowns, and David Bell, they haven't played necessarily great under him.
What do you think? You think the Indians can do it?
I don't get how every projection that comes out has them winning 80-plus games. I didn't think they had anybody left.
Let's get it.
No,
I didn't think they had anybody left.
They really don't from that team they had, do they?
No, they don't. At least the main ones. Kev, I mean, what? It's a skeleton crew, right?
Skeleton crew. Thank goodness they still got Shane Bieber pitching. The pitching is still going to be there. They'll be hanging around because the AL Central is trash.
Yeah. Hey, there's. Do you guys ever hear? There's a guy. My girlfriend got me the book on the championship. I think it was 2002. But do you guys ever talk to Paul Kales or Jim Lachey?
Yeah, we've had. I mean, Paul Keels we just had on before the national championship game, and he's going to come on again here in a few weeks as we head into the NCAA tournament.
Dayton said hi.
Oh, he'll know who you are.
Yeah, I get. Yeah,
I have all the confidence in the world that he'll know who you are, Dickie. Trust me. You know how many people know who you are?
Huh?
Everyone knows who you are. Every time I talk to any of the radio hosts in some other cities, especially in Cleveland, they're like, "Oh, you have Dickie from Dayton all the time." I'm like, "Yep, Dickie from Dayton."
Yeah, it's amazing. My cousin, she's my uncle was a big Indians fan. My uncle Carl, and Carla emails me because she takes her boys. God bless her. She goes to all the Indians games, and she'll call. And she'll hear me up there,
Oh, absolutely. But, hey, Dickie, we're out of time, man. It's always great hearing your voice. You take care.
Okay, have a great day.
Yep, go Reds. All right, 457-9464. Back to the Facebook feed real quick, Kev. Keith Tolliver says, I will take my family to a Cards game at Great American Ballpark. Usually we travel to St. Louis, but with COVID, nah, I'm good. So, again, I still think you're going to see a lot of people go to Reds games this year but we don't know what the ticket pricing situation is going to be. A lot of these tickets could price people out, but that's what I'm waiting to see how that process is going to work as far as general admission tickets go. David Shaw says 76 wins, next to last, and the NR Central. We'll get into more of the projections in a moment for the Reds. But who do we have on hold?
Ann.
The Ann? Is this Ann? The Ann?
Yes, it is the Ann.
Holy moly, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I am convinced I am the only woman who listens to your broadcast every day.
And that is totally fine. We would love more women callers, absolutely. But we are so glad to have you as a listener.
I love it. I am, like I said, I'm a Dragons fan, been a Dragons fan since day one, have been season ticket holders for, I think, since year 2. I just want to go to a ball game again.
What's the last game you remember going to? That wasn't like a family member's game, like a Dragons or a pro game. It was the last game you remember going to.
One of the Dragons games.
The Dragons games, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So that'd be 2019. That'd be 2019.
Been a long time. I just want local sports back where I can go to them. I love my baseball. I grew up a baseball fan listening to the Pirates games with my grandfather. So yes, I am 70 some years old. So I love my baseball. I just want to go to a Dragons game again and feel safe and comfortable, and I want my baseball.
So Ann, you said you're a season ticket holder, correct?
Yes.
So last year, what was the type of dialogue that they were having with season ticket holders about the upcoming season?
They were good. They're always good. They're good at reaching out to people. They're good at, and I've gotten several emails already this year saying, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're trying to do. And they have been very good about keeping up and letting us know what's going on.
So would there be like a lottery situation for season ticket holders about where your seats are going to be and everything like that?
Haven't heard that yet. I mean, I've had the same seats for 22 years now, so nice. I don't know. And again, it is what it is. We'll deal with it. They've given us several incentives about renewing our tickets and giving us, we get emails all the time, we can shop online. They give us coupons for money off if we want to go online and get, whatever. They've been good about keeping up with it, and they're doing what they can do with what they've got to work with.
So and Governor DeWine today said that 30% capacity for baseball in the state of Ohio. So again, that's going to put it at 6,500 is the capacity for Dragons games now. So it's going to be significantly less than that. But again, just to see fans at games and to hear fans in the background, that's the thing, not the piped in crowd noise. But if you're listening on the radio, watching on TV or live there, it's going to be nice to hear real fans at games and not piped in crowd noise.
Absolutely. And I don't know, the capacity for the Dragons, if you get to the lawn seats and everything else, I mean, they're talking 8,400 people they have there every time. So if you get, it's what it is.
With the standing room and the lawn, as you talked about, I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's seats even in the bars and stuff around. I mean, there's so much going on at these games. I mean, they do a good job of providing entertainment for everybody.
Absolutely, and we'll deal with it when the time comes.
So the first home game is May 11th. That's what's on their schedule. The first home game is May 11th. Hopefully you are able to attend that game, Ann.
I will be there if my season ticket package includes home opener for this year. I will be there.
How about that? That's awesome. And it's great hearing from you. We always see your comments on Facebook. So you take care. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
That was the famous Ann.
The infamous Ann.
Yep.
Shouts out
to Ann. How
many
friends I have now that they weren't my friends at the beginning. I like it. No, and I'm excited, not just for her, but for everyone that's just looking forward to getting back to a baseball game. It's still going to be limited capacity, but you got baby steps.
Yeah.
All about that.
Fun fact, my grandmother, she went for her vaccine shot yesterday. She got her first round.
First round?
Yeah, she goes to get her second one, I want to say on March 21st. So, yeah, my grandmother, she's in the process of getting vaccinated. My mom is on the list. My dad is on the list. My stepmom's on the list. So, it's happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go. I haven't even looked into when I can go, and I'll go whenever I can. Look, bottom line is
you 30, man. You're not going to like September, yo.
Oh, absolutely. No, and look, it was like I'll be worried about the vaccine, taking it. So I'm like, I had a bowl of cereal with milk this morning that expired 3 days ago. I'm taking chances all over the place, folks. I'm just saying. I might get both doses in one day. I might just mix it up.
Roll the dice,
got two arms, baby. Just 1 and 2. Let's just to get this over with. All right, we'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy and windy, a high near 40. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy, a low around 32. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 42. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Does learning a language feel like this?
No habla español? Hablo. It's hablo? It's hablo.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
Since my husband is from Guatemala, I'll apply what I've learned in Babbel to our real life situations.
The app is so easy to use and it's so practical. It helps you learn things that you will actually need.
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. That's babbel.com, BABBEL.com.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices, coverage, and plan details.
Allstate now has deeper savings, and deeper savings require deep thoughts and a deep voice, like mine. Save for being a new customer. Save more for adding DriveWise, and save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. As someone once said, saving today is money tomorrow. That's deep.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
New to the Wendy's 2 for $5 lineup is their classic chicken sandwich. Go grab a 2 for $5 deal and pick 2 faves like a Dave Single Nugs and now the classic chicken sandwich 2 for $5. Price and participation may vary. Limited time.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Reds' first spring training game of the season is this Sunday at 3 o'clock. It'll be the Cincinnati Reds and the Cleveland baseball team. Spring training action, the first spring training game of the 2021 season for your Cincinnati Reds. Again, the Cincinnati Reds opening day will be on April 1st. It'll be a 4:10 first pitch against the St. Louis Cardinals. And right now, a lot of spring training left between now and then, of course, but we are getting closer and closer to the start of the 2021 Reds season. Now, it was interesting. The Cincinnati Reds, their media availability, Joey Votto had some interesting things to say about this upcoming season and his approach to this upcoming season. I think it's safe to say that Joey Votto has definitely taken a step back over the last couple of years. And we always word that as if like they are just these horrible people for that happening. I mean, Father Time is catching up. I always say, when you look at the contract that was given to Joey Votto years ago, did the Reds get the bang for the buck? And yes, they did. Joey Votto did his part. Joey Votto did his part. Sure, he's had some down years, but it's happened later in his career. Joey Votto has done his part. Joey Votto has won an MVP. Joey Votto has he was robbed of a second MVP in his career due to the Reds being a last place baseball club. Otherwise, he would have 2 MVPs on his resume. The bottom line is that in baseball, it is very difficult. Like if you are signing a player long term, it's one of the few sports, Kev, that I could think of where when you're signing a player long term, that wins are not always part of the expected ROI. Mm-hmm. Like in basketball, if I pay a lot of money for you that's why we get so impatient with James Harden and guys like Russell Westbrook and guys like that. We're getting impatient with Giannis Antetokounmpo. When at the end of the season, Giannis has been like this great feel-good story in the NBA, right? For the last couple of years, we're going to do with him what we did with Kevin Durant. We're going to do with him what we did with LeBron. We're going to do with him what we're going to do with Zion here in a few years. We're going to turn on him. Media turns on every star because when you get labeled as a future Hall of Famer, a future all-time great, the expectation is that you're going to win a lot of ball games and that you're going to, be a threat in the playoffs. So you're going to be fighting for championships on a year-in, year-out basis. And when Giannis and the Bucks get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs this year, Giannis is no longer going to be that feel-good story in the NBA anymore. He's just not his. And by the way, he won't be any different of a player next year than what he was the last 2 years that he's won an MVP, Kev. But we're getting impatient. The narrative dictates whether you win the award or not, right? Like that, in my opinion, it does. Like I don't think I know we've discussed MVP seasons just because you haven't, who's had the best season of all the stars competing for it. But in this situation, the expectations go along with the MVP narrative. Like Giannis is this new up and coming superstar in the league with the Bucks emerging as a star. That's why he's winning those MVPs. He's not winning another one anytime soon. He's not like, right? Is he a worse player this year than the last two? No, but he's dull and boring now. Why? Because we've seen it before and the team's worse, so we blame him. We do that with James Harden. We do that with Russell Westbrook. We did it with Kevin Durant until he went to the Warriors. Then we found a new thing to complain about him about, right? And by the way, this Nets thing, we're going to get bored with the Nets in a year when they don't win the finals this year. They might. There's a good chance they still could, don't get me wrong. But that's what we do. That's basketball. And football, Patrick Mahomes, you better win another Super Bowl in Kansas City. Otherwise, 10 years from now, when we're talking about that $500 million deal, was it worth it if he doesn't get you another Super Bowl? We're going to say no. But in baseball, Kev, like in football moving forward, it's going to be the same thing. That's why there's so much turmoil when it comes to Dak Prescott in Dallas. Is he good? Is he going to win you games? Yes. But, man, if we get him this money, the big question is can he win us a Super Bowl? There seems to be doubt there, which is why they haven't pulled the trigger. It's all about can you win us a title. Baseball is the only sport where you give money to players and don't ask yourself, can this guy bring us a World Series? When the Reds gave Joey Votto that money, they didn't think that he could bring them a World Series because you can't. It's not fair to put that on one player in baseball. You can't do it. You just can't. I don't think it's fair to do it in any sport, but in baseball, it is the one sport where having a superstar, as we've talked about, you don't need a superstar to win. You don't. In basketball, you will not win an NBA title if you don't have a superstar. In football, you're not winning it unless you have a superstar. In baseball, you don't need the superstar. And I think that's where fans really kind of run into a little bit of a conflict when it comes to Joey Votto. Oh, well, we didn't win in the playoffs. We didn't win a World Series. It was a wasted contract. No. The Reds wasted Joey. Joey Votto didn't waste the Reds. All right, years from now, like if LeBron never won a title, we would say LeBron wasted the Cavs. They won one title with LeBron in his 11 seasons in Cleveland. My narrative is that the Cavs wasted him. You had arguably the best player of all time, maybe the second best player of all time, and you came away with one title. I think that they screwed it up with him. He didn't screw it up with them. But I think the Reds screwed it up with Votto. I don't think Votto screwed it up with the Reds. Ever since they signed him, his entire career has been about rebuilding ever since they re-signed him. That's frustrating to me. The Reds wronged him, not the other way around. And I'm not the biggest Joey Votto guy, but I've never once been anti-Joey Votto because I feel like he wasn't worth his contract. He was definitely worth it. I just don't like when fans say, well, it wasn't worth it because we haven't won anything. That's not on him. He did his part. Baseball's different. You can't make people around you better. Your talent will make people around you better if you put the right pieces in place, but it's not like football where you can make your receivers better. You can make your running backs better. You can make the offense better by, getting the ball away quicker, what have you. Your reads and progressions, you have those down pat. Basketball, LeBron, you make people around you better. Baseball, you don't make people around you better. You just can't.
I think the Reds were in a situation much like the Carolina Panthers were in a situation why they gave Christian McCaffrey that big contract. When you have a guy, you need a face of the franchise. You need somebody to put up on billboards. You need a player that everybody knows that said they play for our team and to help put butts in the seats in turn, buy $10 beers and $15 hot dogs and not all those type of things. So I think they always look at players as an investment not only in the team, but into making sure we got fans in our stadium. So I think that's why Joey Votto and a player like Christian McCaffrey are looked at into that light where the fans' perspective is we're not getting the bang for our buck. Well, the bang for the buck doesn't necessarily come in the wins and losses column. It comes in the fact that you buying the jersey, you're buying these other things, and it's all built around this guy because he's the only guy at the time that you could sell to the people. Like you can't, at the time that Joey Votto signed that contract, do you know what would have happened if they'd have let him walk? The fan base would have went crazy.
Yeah, they were in a lose-lose situation.
They had to give it to him. Yeah, you have to.
And because if he would have gone on, and like that's what's painful right now. When you watch Johnny Cueto go on to win World Series, right. We watched Edison Volquez go on to win World Series for the freaking I think it was the Royals or whatever. I mean, it's like that's always tough to do. But here we are, and as we're getting closer and closer to the end of the Joey Votto era, it's just every year at this time, it's the let's beat up on Joey Votto time. I'm not doing that here because I don't have expectations for him. I don't have expectations for him to lead this offense because he's not that guy anymore. And I feel like Joey Votto's like a gravy guy. Anything you get on it, like I hope we have really good homemade mashed potatoes underneath. Joey Votto's just the gravy you put on top. But if the mashed potatoes are really, really good, you may not need the gravy, right? Like that's kind of where I'm at with this. If Joey Votto produces, great. it's just a cherry on top of what is one kick-ass ice cream sundae. I've had mashed potatoes and gravy and ice cream sundae. I'm on this diet. Clearly, I am hungry. Don't kill me, right? Like, so whatever. But the bottom line is, I think that people who rip Votto, it's like, what do you expect from him? Every organization that gives these baseball players max dollars, it is not done. Like, it's done knowing that they are not going to be the contributor that they are now at the end of their run.
Right.
Like every time it's like Mike Trout, the deal that the Angels gave him, he's not going to be Mike Trout in the last 2 or 3 years of his contract that he is right now. And that's a given. That's an understanding. So I think fans need to truly understand that. The Tatis Jr.,
I was just about to ask you
deal,
about that.
that 14-year deal, whatever. By the way,
14 for 340.
the Bobby Bonilla day, what is that day that they owe
Bobby
him?
Bonilla Day, they give him $1 million every year.
They still will be paying Bonilla 2 years after this 14-year deal is done. Isn't that crazy? So even after this mega long contract for Tatis Jr., they're still going to be having Bobby Bonilla Day for at least 2 more years after that. I found that interesting.
Where did you come down with the Tatis Jr. contract?
I liked it. It averaged out to about, it's people like look at the overall money like, oh, another mega deal. If you average it out, it's like 20-something mil a year, and it's a little bit more than what Votto's getting with the Reds right now. And Tatis Jr. is, to your point, he's that mega star.
Mm-hmm.
In baseball, it's different. In the NBA, you need to be a star, but you need to be someone we could build around and win an NBA championship. If you can't do that, we can't give you that max dollars. Like that's why in the NBA we talk all the time. Dame Lillard, we talk about these stars all over the place. Okay, which one of these guys? They're all good. All right, Russell Westbrook's good, but can you build a title team around him? That's always up for debate. Dame Lillard's good, but can you build a title team around him? Like that's always that's how we decipher who gets what kind of on the pecking order of money and contracts and so have you in the NBA. Same thing in the NFL and baseball. To your point, it's baseball's one of those where you're always rebuilding every couple years.
Yeah.
So who do you have on that roster that's going to get asses in seats? Joey Votto was that guy. Oh, Reds are last place, but man, at least we can go see Joey Votto play. Oh, Reds are in last place. At least they had Aroldis Chapman. Oh, Brandon Phillips, he was fun to watch play. Mm-hmm. That type of deal.
I think the Tatis Jr. deal was great for both parties.
They got it done early too.
He's 22 years old. He'll be 36 when his contract.
22.
Yeah,
and he just got that. So he's gonna still have some decent years left in the league.
Yeah, he got this contract super early, so they didn't have to go to arbitration, and it's great because he gets this money right now, and a lot of the money is up front earlier in the contract, and the Padres lock him up for extended period of time. So I think it's best for both parties because there's no telling what would have happened if he'd have went through the arbitration situation year after year, and then he finally hits full-blown free agency at like 25, 26, and then he gets this contract. Then what? You know what I'm saying? Then he's like 39 years old when his contract is up. Nobody wants to see that.
Absolutely. So one thing that Joey Votto said to the media was that I really don't want to come back. And I thought this was an interesting on his career expectations. I don't want to come back and celebrate my career. I want to come back and celebrate a championship. So this goes back to my point about Joey Votto didn't waste the Reds' time. They wasted his. And the one fun thing about the Big Red Machine and even the 90s World Series team, a lot of the Reds' former championship teams, what was fun about them is those moments. Like a lot of those great teams always won, right? Like, so every time you go to Great American Ballpark during the season and every year when they are celebrating those teams, sure, they're celebrating, a lot of the former greats, but they're celebrating the greats under the World Series umbrellas, under the Big Red Machine umbrellas. I've always thought about this, like the last 2 decades of Reds baseball. Reds fans' experiences in 10, 15, 20 years is going to be way different than what we as Reds fans have grown up, because when we grew up, even though I didn't grow up during the great, the Big Red Machine per se, I'm still able to go to the ballpark where they're regularly celebrating those teams.
Right.
Eventually, I think it's getting tiresome now celebrating those same teams every dang year. But the problem is the Reds don't have any teams in the last 20 years that you could celebrate.
Right.
You're not going to be that loser club that celebrates an NL Central crown or a wild card appearance, right? Like you can't do that. So Joey Votto, to his point, I really don't want to come back and celebrate my career. 15, 20 years from now, Joey Votto Legends Bobblehead Day. And then they'll just read off his stats, and then it's just going to be Joey Votto is known for playing on 5 last-place Cincinnati Reds teams and 7 second-to-last Cincinnati Reds teams. And, there was that one time that they blew a big lead in the playoffs. Joey Votto, everybody. And then everyone stands up and claps, and then there you go. it's disappointing. Joey Votto will not get that. We will never feel about Joey Votto the way we do about Joe Morgan and Pete Rose. And the reason I'm saying those guys with him is because he is as good as those guys, but he'll never be as celebrated because he was never on a pedestal with these great teams. Pete Rose is always going to be alongside Barry Larkin and alongside, Joe Morgan and those guys. Joey Votto, he's on an island by himself, but he's not going to be known for being a great player on a great team. He's just a great player on a bad team, and that's why I think Joey Votto will never get the full respect that he truly deserves because of that.
You only celebrate pennants, right? Pennants and world
You
championships.
should.
Okay. I was just making sure we on the same page.
That's why I said you don't want to be that loser
Right.
that celebrates, NL Central crowns, right? Like,
So in the NBA though, you're not celebrating, oh, we lost in the finals 4-3. You're not celebrating that. I'm just trying to think, like, what do we celebrate in sports? I think in NBA, like when you bring back the 20-year reunion, it's about the championship. It's not making it to the finals. But I look at the same way for the NFL too. Like, we don't celebrate the loser of the Super Bowl. I think the only loser of the Super Bowl we celebrate is the Buffalo Bills because they made it to the Super Bowl 4 straight years. I think everybody else is like, oh,
but you're at least known for that.
Yeah,
Like,
you're known for that,
right?
and I think after so many years, it's looked at how I always looked at it. I looked at it as a major accomplishment. Like, yeah, you lost, but you didn't lose. You lost to a lot of great teams. I mean, you lost to the Dallas Cowboys dynasty. You lost to the Washington football team, who was super high powered at the time. So you lost your game, the big one and everything like that. But the accomplishment to make it to 4 Super Bowls should be celebrated. I don't think in any other sport out there besides baseball is that we celebrate just making it to the World Series. Outside maybe, I guess, the Final Four in college basketball.
Well, and I think teams will celebrate being college football playoff.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
But see, I think that's harder to get to than the NCAA tournament of basketball, just because it's so, like, to me, I feel like the college football playoff, just being a part of the Final Four is such a big deal. Just like being a Final Four team. I mean, we do that all the time. We talk about, Ohio State hasn't won a national championship in basketball in how long? Ooh. But yet in the last 20 years, we see and say, oh yeah, those Final Four teams that had, they didn't win anything, but they were a Final Four team. And by the way, I'm not devaluing.
Oh, you're talking about in basketball.
Kind of in mixing it up in both a little bit. Like, there's weight in being a Final Four team in basketball.
Yes.
Why would it not be in football?
I just people don't care unless you win it all in football. Like, we talk about it on the show. Like, oh man, Ohio State hasn't won a national championship since 2014, even though they've been back to the playoff 3 times since then. We don't talk about like, oh man, it was the playoffs. We talk about, oh man, they lost to Clemson 31-0. Oh man, they got hosed or they dropped touchdown passes against Clemson. Oh man, they got blew out by Alabama a couple weeks ago. We don't even talk about like the cool parts about making it. I think in football, it's all or nothing.
All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We are live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, and you can jump in on the conversation. That way, you can leave your comments in the chat section, and we pull it into the show. So Waller on Facebook says Votto is still a solid player, but Belzen's. Oh my gosh, I would love to frame this post. I could not agree more, Vincent. Votto is still a solid player, but Bell's insistence to bat him in the top of the order is mind-numbing. He should be in the 7 or 8 hole. I could not agree with you more. And he will live at the 2 spot and the 3 spot this year, or in leadoff or whatever, which should not be leadoff. Shogo Akiyama should be your leadoff guy, or Castellanos should be your leadoff guy. And I don't even like Castellanos as your leadoff hitter, but it should not be Joey Votto. To me, Joey Votto needs to. I would love. And by the way, putting Joey Votto, if you have the luxury of having a hitter like Joey Votto hitting at 7 or 8, that's a strength. That's a plus for the Reds, because Joey Votto would be the best 7 or 8 hitter in Major League Baseball, probably. So I don't know why they insist on Vincent. I agree with you 1,000,000%. Continuing to force him, it's like a square peg in a round hole. That's Joey Votto batting number 2 in the order. Again, when we say these things, we're not bashing who Joey Votto is as a player for his career, but we're just saying this based on who Joey Votto is now in his career. Keith Tolliver says, if it was okay to let Albert Pujols go, then the Reds could have let Votto go. Terrible decision by the Reds. Should have sent him to Toronto. Another great point. Like, to sit here and say, well, we can't let go of Joey Votto. Joey Votto is the Cincinnati Reds. you got to pick your standards up for who the Cincinnati Reds are. The Cincinnati Reds are the Big Red Machine. The Cincinnati Reds are the 80s, the 80s and 90s. Like, that's who the Cincinnati Reds are. There's not enough tradition in the last 20 years to hold on to Joey Votto because he is the Cincinnati Reds. And Keith is right. If it was okay for the Cardinals to let Pujols go, I'm pretty sure the Reds can let go of Votto. Fun fact, you know that the money that they offered, that Joey Votto got the big-time contract from the Reds, the Albert Pujols was who the Reds were pursuing to get, like, Pujols was going to get that major money. And there was a hiccup at the end for the length of the contract. I can't remember what exactly the hiccup was, but I did find that interesting that the reason Joey Votto got his money is because ultimately Albert Pujols backed out of being a Cincinnati Red. Wow. I did find that interesting.
I never knew that. We got Clifford on the line.
Clifford, what's up, man? How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Okay, Dan Marino. You talk about players that's not celebrated that didn't win pennants or championships or Super Bowl. Dan Marino at one time was considered probably one of the greatest quarterbacks that never won a Super Bowl, and he's celebrated. What do y'all think about that? Thank you.
Thank you for the call. And no, look, I mean, and that's different. When we're saying, I mean, he is, by the way, he is the best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl.
Ooh,
outside, I mean, Baker Mayfield's second, but outside of that, am I wrong though? Like, who the greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl? To me, it's Dan Marino. I have no problem putting him in that. But to Cliff's point, he is celebrated as that. But I don't know if that's different. When I talk celebrated, Cliff, I mean like those honorary signature themed games and weekends at Great American Ballpark when the Reds do their bobblehead giveaways and they do hey, we're going to honor the 1990 World Series Reds, or we're going to honor we're going to honor the Big Red Machine, and we're going to have, Pete Rose there. We're going to have Barry Larkin there. We're going to do that type of thing. With Joey Votto's comments here that I have posted, when he says, I really don't want to come back, he was asked about, decades from now, looking back at his career, how does he want to be remembered? He goes, look, I don't want to come back on an honorary weekend to be celebrated for my career. We haven't accomplished anything. He would rather be brought back to celebrate a moment, and that is a championship. And I just don't think that's going to happen for Joey Votto, unfortunately. It's unfortunate. But the Dan Marino question, I don't think he's not celebrated. I think the closest thing that they celebrate was the undefeated season. And that's okay too, but that's a moment. I mean, that was okay until the Giants did it, but they ultimately, or the Patriots did it, but they ultimately, lost to in the Super Bowl. But the Dolphins obviously didn't win the Super Bowl when they went undefeated. The Dolphins didn't win the Super Bowl. Not with Dan Marino.
Oh, no, they weren't undefeated. His second year, they went to the Super Bowl, and when he threw like 50 touchdowns.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the undefeated, being remembered for being undefeated.
Oh, you talking about, I put up this list from NBC Sports, best QBs to never win the Super Bowl. They got Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, Fran Tarkenton, Dan Fouts. Dan Fouts was a beast, by the way.
Ken Anderson on that list?
Warren Moon. Yeah, I'll definitely put Warren Moon up there. Vinny Testaverde. Vinny Testaverde was a dog. Ken Anderson, Cincinnati Bengals. Steve McNair, and Donovan McNabb.
A lot of big names on that, and the name that was just added to that to the retire, because we just talked about this not too long ago when Phillip Rivers retired. I was like, we've just talked about this, and that's why, because Phillip Rivers retired. And by the way, we're closing the segment out with this. Ron, you win the post of the day. The Browns celebrate an 0-16 season. They really did.
Shame on you.
They really did, Ron. They had a huge parade for the 0-16 season, but you know what? Guess what it did? It led to Baker Mayfield. It led to what the Browns are now. So that 0-16 season, there was a lot to celebrate, Ron, as him and his team celebrates the Super Bowl. We'll be back in a moment. He's a Bucs fan and not Ohio State either. We'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Tie ball game with the shot clock winding down now. Jones takes the ball at the point off the high screen and roll. He puts up the shot at the buzzer, and it's
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Dayton Flyers basketball fans can't make it to the arena this season, but want to experience a safe electric college game day atmosphere? Timothy's Bar and Grill is the spot to support the Flyers all season long. Follow Timothy's Bar and Grill on Facebook and Twitter for select game day specials. Go Flyers!
Listen to this radio station on the radio.com app. Discover and enjoy your favorite music, news, and talk radio from live stations across the country. Listen anywhere on all mobile and home devices with the radio.com app.
You ever lie awake at night, can't sleep, not wanting to see what time it is because that's just going to keep you up? Tonight, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night. Unlike other sleep aids, our extended release melatonin helps you fall asleep naturally and then slowly releases so you stay asleep longer through the night. It's non-habit forming with no next day grogginess. ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night so you can fall asleep and stay asleep. Available at retailers near you.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Buonasera.
Buonasera. How can I make the most of waiting for my next big vacation?
Translate your questions into goals by investing with Merrill Edge Self-Directed. It's more accessible than you think, with helpful planning tools plus free online stock and ETF trades, so you can keep practicing your pronunciation. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/withinreach to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated. Registered broker-dealer, member SIPC. Other fees may apply. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up a non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. Fever is a leading symptom of COVID, and using an accurate thermometer has never been more critical. In published studies, no-touch thermometers miss more fevers than they detect. While the new COVID vaccines are becoming more widely available, it is important to make sure you are protected. Monitor for fever with an accurate thermometer backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies. Details at Exergen.com, where accuracy matters.
Looking for a career and not just a job? Then Dayton Progress is looking for you. Dayton Progress is the leading international manufacturer of tools and tooling components for the metal stamping industries and has immediate openings for entry-level machinist. No prior experience is required, and Dayton Progress will train you, starting with the basics. They offer competitive wages with merit increases after 90 days of employment. They also offer private health care, including vision and dental, free life insurance, a contributory 401k, bonus programs, promotions from within, company service recognition, and 100% tuition reimbursement to local state colleges. Dayton Progress is a great place to work and has been a Dayton landmark for over 70 years. Apply today by emailing your resume to jobs@DaytonProgress.com. That's jobs@DaytonProgress.com. Dayton Progress is an equal opportunity employer.
Heard the good news about COVID-19 vaccines? They're here, but you can do more than wait for your turn. Here's how. Stay at least 6 feet away from folks you don't live with. And it's risky to be indoors with them too. And masks? Well, they protect both the person wearing them and the folks around them. Wear a mask, watch your distance, and make a big difference now.
Learn more about vaccines at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey, we get it. You don't want to be hearing a Progressive commercial right now, so let us tell you something you do want to hear. No one is funnier than you. People laugh just thinking about the things you've said. I'm laughing at one of them right now. Coworkers repeat your jokes at the office, but they're never as good as when you tell them, and shame on them for trying. There. Don't you feel better? You'll also feel better knowing you could save when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Although I'm sure you'd have a funnier way to say that. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
At Menards, save big money in your next project with 11% off everything. Get softer skin and cleaner clothes with a Morton Water Softener. Water softeners remove minerals and will eliminate hard water stains and give you better tasting water. The 27,000 grain unit is $319.99 after 11% off. Get 11% off everything at Menards. Good through February 27th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
New to the Wendy's 2 for $5 lineup is their classic chicken sandwich. Go grab a 2 for $5 deal and pick 2 faves like a Dave Single Nugs and now the classic chicken sandwich 2 for $5. Price and participation may vary. Limited time.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. college football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
So there is a little bit of a caveat, of course, to the attendance at Great American Ballpark. For one, it was recommended by Governor Mike DeWine 30%. It doesn't mean that Great American Ballpark is going to allow 30% of fans, by the way. So I'm just getting this coming into me during this break, that they believe it's going to be close to 30% capacity, but nothing has been finalized yet as far as what that number is going to be. And on top of that, and this should have been a given anyways, but masks and social distancing will be required. Here's my problem. I don't want to get into a mask debate with people. I really don't, and that's not my intention here. I'm literally talking from a comfort standpoint. I wear my mask during the winter, like even when I don't need to, just because it's warm. I wear my mask in my car during the winter just because it's extra warm. Like I have no problem. But I do know that thinking about Great American Ballpark in July and August, it's brutal, and wearing a mask that might change. When you asked me earlier about whether I'd go to games, I always go to games in April and May, and then I always go to games in September. I refuse to go to games during the summer. Now, that's not always true. I will end up going with a group of friends if we go on a regular season. But I will never spend a dime on tickets in July and August ever, because it's a miserable experience. It just is to me. There's nothing comfortable. I don't care how cold the beer is. It is just miserably hot. And I can't imagine sitting there in sweltering 80, 90 degree plus humidity heat with the mask on my face. So again, this isn't a mask debate about whether you think they work or not. I'm just telling you straight up, because they're way too uncomfortable when it's hot out for me to sit at a ball game for 4 hours with that on. Now, I could just hold the beer in my hand the entire time and then not have to wear the mask, right? Isn't that the loophole around it? You don't have to wear it while you're drinking. I mean, I'll be chugging beers for hours then. Actually, you know what? I'm lying. Just July thing might sound pretty fun now that I think about it, but it's something to think about.
What's the hottest place you ever been?
I mean, I lived in Texas. I'm from El Paso, but it's a dry heat. It's a much different heat. Humidity's brutal.
I've been to.
By the way, real quick, Vegas was miserable because I went to my cousin's graduation there years ago, and it was 110. I mean, it was just. You open the door. I don't care what dry heat, humidity heat. I don't care. Heat is heat, and that you open your door and it just punches you right in the face. I mean, it's like you gasp for air walking out. It was miserable. It was bad. I would say Vegas was the hottest heat I've ever been to, but I'm from El Paso and it's miserably hot there too.
Yeah, I would go with you on Vegas. I got married in Vegas, and on our wedding day,
you guys knew each other, right? It was planned.
Yeah, it was totally planned.
Hi, Shayla. Hi. My name's Kev. Want to get married? And then boom. Okay, cool. I didn't know how it worked.
We got married on our wedding day. It was 117 degrees, and I had on a tux the whole nine.
Yep.
Yeah. It was horrible. And we had to take pictures outside. So yeah, that was fun. And then I went to my best friend's wedding in Houston, and when I got off the plane, that little runway where you get off the plane, I felt the heat coming up from underneath the plane. So I was like, oh, that's just from the plane, right? Went outside to the terminal to jump in his car, and it just felt like a box was just sitting on my back, and we had to set up his backyard for the for the party that night. Man, setting up tents in Texas heat at high noon was not fun.
Nope, it is not. I'm trying to think. Am I a winter guy or a summer guy?
Oh, I'm a summer guy because I despised what we had last week. I hate the winter.
This isn't the word to me, but the heat's pretty dang. Like when I'm cold, like I always say this, so Nora can't stay. I have to have the fan on, by the way. But the fan is on, even if it is like it is now, negative degrees out.
Oh,
it's not, the fan is on. And then she'll complain because, I'm cold. But listen, if you're cold, you could bundle up and get warm. If you are hot, and I'm hot all the time, I'm overweight, so I'm always like hot. And I get up to, find the remote or my phone. I'm sweating by the time I sit down. You can't just cool down. It is very difficult to cool down if you're hot. So that's my biggest argument all the time is it's much easier to warm up than it is to cool down. So I will always say I'll take the cold over that.
I despise the heat.
Now, if I'm in Florida, which I'm a big, I love Florida, I can't wait to get back to Pensacola here later on this year. I cannot wait. No hurricanes, of course. We'll be keeping an eye out for those hurricanes. But, I love when it's sweltering hot there, because then when you're in the water, then it's just that much more.
Oh, yeah, man. I forget when it was, but I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. We went to Miami. South Beach, was hanging out on the beach for like 6-7 hours. Found out that I got sunburn. Yeah, shoulders were on fire. I was like, wow, I'm so hot. Like, it hurts when you touch it. Yeah. Then I started peeling. I was like, oh, I got sunburn. Sweet dude.
Oh, yeah. I burn very easily. I promise you that much. Someone just messaged and I thought this was a sports show. It is. When we come back, we'll reveal who we voted for this past election. Hour 3 next. Get me out of here.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
There's nothing better than a fresh-made home-style meal, but not everyone loves the hassle of cooking. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, home-style happens here with our famous 12-piece family meal at a great price. This famous family meal includes 12 mixed pieces of Lee's fresh, never-frozen chicken that is honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to perfection, plus 3 large sides and 6 fluffy biscuits. Get a home-style meal made easy today with Lee's 12-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
The Perenzino brothers hold monthly online building material and home improvement auctions featuring quality home improvement products. Go to pbauctions.com for all the details and bid on name brand home improvement products, including flooring, kitchen, doors, decking, barn siding, trim, plumbing, lighting, tools, and so much more. All to be sold online. Visit pbauctions.com for preview times and bidding details on the next monthly auction near you. And we'll see you online at the Perenzino Brothers Auction.
New to the Wendy's 2 for $5 lineup is their classic chicken sandwich. Go grab a 2 for $5 deal and pick 2 faves like a Dave Single Nugs and now the classic chicken sandwich 2 for $5. Price and participation may vary. Limited time.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Couple college football news and notes here for you. Actually, no, real quick. Back to the Facebook feed. Ann called us wimps. She goes, "You guys are wimps." She said, "Join the service. Go to a remote place, with typhoons, humidity, snakes, and scorpions. Been there, done that." And I grew up in El Paso, and no typhoons, but snakes and scorpions. I remember, they would always tell you, always check your car, because even if they always say don't even run over like a dead snake, you can run over and it could still like roll up and all that. They still yeah, it's creepy. I hate snakes, but scorpions, we lived downhill off a mountain, and we had scorpions galore. I mean, so literally what we would have to do when we would come home, we would have a black light. I mean, I was a little kid. I just remember being terrified. I was the only one in my family to not get stung by a scorpion.
Really?
My younger brother, I mean, we're all in our 20s and 30s now, but at the time, I mean, young, I was the only one. My mom, my dad, my two brothers, every one of us got stung by a scorpion except me.
Goodness gracious.
But the closest I ever came. So when we'd come home, we'd have a black light, and you would literally, if you want to get on the couch, you'd put the black light over the couch to make sure. I mean, it was just like spiders, just like your everyday spider issues here, which I'm a big girl when it comes to spiders too, by the way. I mean, I'm terrified of them, like absolutely terrified of spiders. But the scorpions, man, if you think I'm terrified of the spiders, the scorpions were a whole other issue. But we would get like, those fly traps. They're not even called fly traps over there. I mean, it was literally made for scorpions. You'd hang them from your ceiling because the scorpions would walk across your ceiling. You'd wake up in the morning, there'd be 3 or 4 scorpions in each trap. I mean, it was bad. It was infested with scorpions. We didn't live there long, obvious reasons. We literally got the hell out of there. It was terrifying. But yeah, you go in the backyard. I mean, you're up in the mountain. I mean, You're looking up at the mountain. It was terrifying. But what was you put the little plastic or the little sticky traps in the corners of the house. Again, you'd wake up, there'd be scorpions with the sticky traps up on the ceiling and in the corners. We got the hell out of there. But I remember sitting on the floor one time. I was watching wrestling. Okay, watching wrestling. Is Vince McMahon, Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're head to head. And I'm laying down on the floor, and I have my hands on the floor, like lean backwards. Okay, and all of a sudden I felt something crawling up my hand, and I just getting damn it. I hate it. But this scorpion, Kev, I'm not joking, the length of my hand, like he was across my middle finger, he or she, it's the damn thing. And it walked up my hand. I swooped just across the room, and I never went back in my room. Because the living room where it was much safer because scorpions didn't go in there. I mean, it was just terrifying. The black light, though, you always had to go everywhere with that, just saying, just to make sure. Because they would glow up. They would glow. And then we had a beige carpet. Well, they were beige scorpions. And it was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I hated it. Ann says, Justin, you're right. My son used to collect scorpions. Why would he do that? And bull snakes.
Oh, no.
The bull snakes kept the rattlers in check, and scorpions were just cool.
Man, it's the best.
Oh, man. It's the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station. We're off the rails here today, which is totally fine. But no, that scorpion story, man, I'm telling you, it was horrible. I absolutely hated it.
I don't do spiders. I don't do mice. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm a city dude, man. I'm a city boy. I don't get down with any of that type of stuff, man. I'm terrified of it all. And I know she says, live a little and everything like that. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah. You want to know how much afraid of spiders I am? Last thing here, and we'll get back to sports. Calm down, people. Nora came in freaked out because there's a spider in the living room. This was a few houses ago. Actually, I think it was the apartment, but it was the apartment. So she comes in. She goes, I'm not leaving the room. There's a spider in the living room. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I'll take care of it. I'm thinking it's a little one. She goes, no, it's huge. I'm like, it's not that. Kev, I'm not joking. In Ohio, in Dayton, it was at the apartments that we used to live in. A spider just a little bit smaller than my hand was on the wall. Now, what do you do here? I'm trying to be, we're still a little bit earlier in our relationship back when I was trying to impress her. Now, I've just let myself go to hell, right? But so I'm like, all right, I got it. So I shut the door so she can't see. So I take my shoe off and I chuck it at the spider. I don't go up to it and hit it. I throw it from across the room. My most athletic, accomplished feat ever was from across the living room. I mean, bullseye. My shoe hit that damn spider like you wouldn't believe. It left a dent in the wall, a hole in the wall, and I didn't care. I'll pay for 5 holes in the wall before I was going to go up and smack that damn thing. But it was so cool. I threw my shoe from across the room, and I thought for sure I'm going to miss. But I'm like, but I have 2 shoes. So in the closet's over there, there's plenty of shoes in that closet. I'm going to hit this damn thing one way or another. But my first try, I was so happy, Kev. And I was disappointed she didn't see it. But typical Nora, mad because there's a hole in the wall. I'm like, you're never happy. You're never happy. All right, we're done. We're done.
Oh, my goodness.
Justin Kinder, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Let's talk a little college football now. We're going to get into this EA Sports game news here in just a moment. But I wanted to touch on this because I found this interesting last week. I didn't even get to touch on it with you whenever we weren't here on Friday. But Michigan has been busy lately. They give their athletic director, Emmanuel, a new 5-year contract, by the way. They do lose one of their premier coordinators, one of their top coordinators, their defensive coordinator who takes the job over at Tennessee because they couldn't get the guy from Ohio State. But here's the next part about this. Michigan loses their quarterback in Milton.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Joe Milton.
Like, let's be honest here. Like, Jim Harbaugh is known as the quarterback guru, the QB whisperer, right? Like, that's been like the reason he is not like that's what he is known for. And yet, Kev, that's why he isn't winning at Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
He has yet to get the quarterback right. The closest he came was Shea Patterson from a expectation standpoint. Like, Shea Patterson was compared to Johnny Manziel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was supposed to be, Michigan was supposed to be on the map because of that. And Shea Patterson was, for the expectations, I'm going to say horrible. Wasn't the worst, but I'm going to say horrible considering the expectations. When you're comparing him to an all-time college great, you don't have to like Johnny Manziel in the pros, but we can't sit there and act like he wasn't a good college football quarterback. The kid could definitely play. Shea didn't live up to that at all. But, man, it's just one thing after another. But Joe Milton enters the NCAA transfer portal. It's always something, Kev, with this Michigan program. And, yes, they extended Jim Harbaugh earlier in the offseason, but that was more like a demotion. I've never seen an extension be more like a demotion. He literally lost money. A good chunk of all his money is incentive based,
right?
And a lot of that has to do with beating Ohio State. Well, you can take that one out of the contract. That ain't happening anytime soon, right? You wouldn't anticipate it. But the point is like this is sad watching this. It's not sad. I'm not really losing sleep at night and teary-eyed. It's pathetic, actually. Like, Jim Harbaugh should be better than this.
Check this out. Under Harbaugh, Shane Morris, Will Spate, Brandon Peters, Dylan McCaffrey, Joe Milton, Alex Melzo, all transferred. No Harbaugh recruit has made it to their fourth season at Michigan under his tenure. We're entering year 7 of Jim Harbaugh. That's alarming, yo. Like, I know that with this new era with the transfer portal and everything like that, I'm expecting to see a lot of guys transfer, especially from that quarterback position, because if you recruit 2, there's only one guy going to start. I'm totally understanding of that, we talk about these recruits that Ohio State has at their quarterback class, and we're like, oh, he's the number 1, he's the number 4, he's the number 2 guy.
Yeah, we know we're bidding farewell to one of those guys.
Yeah, at least one of those.
Just make sure it's not the Joe Burrow of the group. That's all I ask.
At least one of those guys are going to transfer. So we know that. But none of these dudes made it to their 4th year. Nobody.
It's one thing,
and they're not going to the pros. They're transferring to other schools.
Now, you talked about like transfers happen, the transfer portal, but a lot of guys that transfer are backups who want to go get starting time somewhere.
Right.
Michigan's having starters transfer out. Like, that's how you. Like, I heard there was some transfers out of Ohio State, and I remember getting a caller one time like, are you concerned at all that Ohio State has all these transfers? I'm like, no, because they're not starters. The reason these guys are transferring is because they want to transfer somewhere where they're going to have an opportunity to get some serious playing time.
Right.
That's what you normally see in a transfer situation, where you have to be concerned, if you are a Michigan or any fan, actually, when you have starters who are wanting to leave your program. Starters.
Yeah.
That's where you should be concerned. What did Joe Milton have to be concerned about at Michigan? He was the starting quarterback. He was going to play. He was their guy. That means there's something else bigger going on that would lead to him wanting to leave Michigan. And that's just as simple as he has zero faith that they can win. And these kids have 4 years to win. We don't have time for Jim Harbaugh to finally figure it out. I understand why these kids want to leave. And, as far as where he could end up, I threw this out there on Friday. You have Gus Malzahn at UCF right now looking for a key contributor. Milton's the guy. Like, to me, if I'm Gus Malzahn, I'm doing everything I can to get him to go to UCF. Will he go to the American Conference, though? I don't know. But, man, that would be a huge get for Gus Malzahn if he can end up pulling that off.
UCF is in Florida. Joe Milton's from Florida. They need a power quarterback.
Who's Florida's quarterback right now?
Former
he has another
Ohio
year,
State
right?
recruit. I'm forgetting his name. I'm sorry, I forgot his name, but it'll pop up in my head eventually.
But either way, so they're set though. They have a quarterback, right? Like, UCF doesn't, and that's why I'm saying that makes a lot of sense. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I've been doing good and haven't gone there yet. But I think that would make a lot of sense for him. But that's just a very strange scenario, continuing to always develop, and the timing of it. Why now?
Right.
If you're going to transfer out, why not transfer when the season ended? What happened between when the season ended and now that you finally pulled the trigger on entering the transfer portal? Some other college football news over the weekend. Deion Sanders, we talked about the HBCU season that has officially kicked off, but unfortunately, we weren't really able to focus on the HBCU kickoff weekend because of this headline. I mean, look, Jackson State.
Emory Jones.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. There's a lot of fun. By the way, Florida has done a good job and Mullen's done a good job of sitting there. You know, I have 2 dogs, and every time I'm sitting at the table and eating, my dogs wait there for like crumbs to fall off or scraps to fall off. And that's Dan Mullen with Ohio State. He sits there. I mean, who was the receiver that he had? I mean, he had so much talent from Ohio State. Yeah, Trayvon Grimes. Trayvon Grimes, you had that quarterback you're talking about. I mean, they're always sitting there just waiting. I mean, just like my 2 dogs looking up at me, waiting for me to make a mess and drop. That is Mullen with Ohio State. I mean, he's always ready to pick up their scraps, always. I don't know if that's going to happen here with this kid, but, we'll see. But UCF, that's kind of where I go. But Jackson State wins in their HBCU debut over the weekend. But the biggest takeaway from it was Deion Sanders says that personal items were stolen from his office during the debut. After the game, he's emotional. He's almost in tears. The team awards him the game ball. He says that was the biggest accomplishment in his entire career. It meant that much to him. And I believe, it means a lot to him to get this program on track, like to really just turn HBCUs into name brand type institutions that we're talking about on a season in, season out basis. So it meant a lot to him. I was watching First Take earlier, and Stephen A. Smith surprised me. And I actually agreed with this, but I didn't know how to position it. But Stephen A. Smith did a fine job with it, saying that Deion had every right to feel all the frustration that he did, but because of the perception of HBCUs, probably shouldn't have gone public with that in the manner that he did, mainly because rather than talking about Jackson State getting a big win and Deion getting a win in his debut, we're talking about, let's be on the perceptions that follow HBCUs and, that's what happens there. I mean, you have all these African Americans. Of course, there's all this crime. I'm not being a smart ass or being funny there. I'm being that was my initial thinking. I'm like, well, how do I say that without sounding like that? But that's honestly the first thing that came to my mind is from a perception standpoint, if I'm him, I wouldn't have just come out and said that right away. But it's kind of hard to not. I'm not really knocking him because, man, he's pissed. Yeah. He's going to the table like, someone took my crap, man. Like, what the hell? But the first thing that came to mind is unfortunately, people aren't going to focus on his stuff being taken. They're going to focus on who took the stuff and say, well, that's what happens there. Right. And that's not a fair perception. But unfortunately, that's where that's going to run off to. And Stephen A. Smith saying that this morning, I was like, I thought the same thing, but I'm glad that the way he positioned it was better than how I was going to. So that's a good, but I thought that was interesting. The way he positioned it.
100% with you and Stephen A. Man, it takes away from what the kids accomplished on the field. It takes away from his victory at Jackson State and everything like that. But I'm not in his position, man. I mean, we've all had things stolen from us and everything like that. But when you're in the position that Deion Sanders is in, look, man, he doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to be coaching. He could have been doing the NFL Network from his living room like he's been doing for the last umpteen years and getting paid handsomely. He could have stayed at the high school that he created down there in Dallas and kept coaching there and just doing his thing. But he didn't. He uprooted his life to go to Jackson, Mississippi. Trust me, Jackson, Mississippi and Dallas, Texas are in 2 totally different worlds. So, and definitely different from what he's accustomed to. And when you have things taken from you at a place that you're trying to build up, it does strike you at your core. It frustrates you to no end. And I understand what Deion was saying about look, it ain't just about, building up the football team. It's about building up this whole community as a school and everything that goes along with it. But I also agree with Stephen A. and you. I don't necessarily believe then was the actual best time because all it's going to do is take away from all the great things that you're doing right then and there. But like I said, man, I will be frustrated too, man. In high school, I had my car broken into, and people that remember the CD booklets that kids used to have, I used to have a 500 CD book in my car. Dumb, I know. I
remember those.
I don't know why.
You unzip them, and then the pages of CDs, and then they'd fall out. You'd make your own. Yeah. LimeWire. Remember LimeWire?
Yes.
You make your own. You gotta be careful. LimeWire would destroy your computer. You gotta be careful with LimeWire. But oh man, I had a flashback.
No. You're great. You're great. Because I destroy several computers computers messing around with LimeWire. But like, so
you should have been using music only. Right?
Right, exactly. So I having over 500 CDs stolen from me in my stereo and my window busted out, like that feeling of violation, having something taken from you sucks. It sucks to no end. So I understand him venting his frustration. And it was just a array of emotions, an array of, helping these kids and winning a football game and also finding out, hey, man, I got my stuff stolen. That sucks. Like, it's just an array of emotions, man.
And he feels even more violated because it's his home field. Like, it's his home coach's room. Like, it's one thing if you go on, it's not one thing, but it's one thing if you are on the road and, you're not familiar with the environment and whatever, it still stinks. You're going to be just as angry. But, like, you should feel safe at your own home field and your own home office. Yeah. Like, here, I think we get too comfortable with the stuff that we leave around our offices here because, there's our work family. We're around these same people every day. But, like, it's going to take one time, something stupid happening, and then it's like, man, Kev took my stuff.
Roll the cameras.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, never mind. Never mind.
Don't say it.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. And last but not least, out of college football, ex-Nebraska quarterback. Keep in mind, Scott Frost still trying to get, we're talking about UCF. Scott Frost leaves UCF to take over Nebraska. They were a lot of, for me, I was really pulling for him. I'm a fan of the Big Ten, and the better that the Big Ten is, the better it is for Ohio State, and the better it is for college football. But Scott Frost is really not, he has not added that jolt to Nebraska that we were expecting. And their quarterback who transferred out is now heading to Louisville. McCaffrey heading to Louisville now, and that's where he will end up.
Hold on, McCaffrey, didn't he transfer from Michigan?
Luke McCaffrey.
Oh, that's the other
Luke
brother.
McCaffrey. Yeah,
okay.
Luke McCaffrey. I was like, wait, what? No, Luke McCaffrey, the quarterback for Nebraska, is transferred and is heading to Louisville.
I'm about to say, like, hold on, didn't he just transfer?
Everyone's transferred, man. It's unbelievable. So, but it adds a little intrigue.
Oh, yeah, it's like free agency.
So there's
free agency in the NBA, man.
All right, we'll step away for a few moments. We do have another college football story for you. It involves the new EA Sports video game. Who would not want to be involved with the EA Sports video game? Well, one of the premier programs in college football. I said, you can count us out. You will. So one of the biggest names in college football has come out and said, we do not want to be a part of the EA Sports video game. I find that interesting. I find it odd. I understand where they're coming from. I think it's a bluff, but I'll tell you who the team is on the other side of the break. Plus, we also have some big news regarding news that was announced today. For those who are humongous fans of the Flying to the Hoop high school basketball showcase put on by Eric Horseman and those guys, they do an amazing job. Unfortunately, just like everything else due to COVID, that was canceled this year. But they ventured off into another project that I think the Miami Valley is going to be super excited about. It's a mini Flying to the Hoop high school basketball showcase. It has 5 stars. There's 8 4 stars, including a future Dayton Flyer that's going to be playing here in Dayton in a few weeks. I'll tell you all about it on the other side after we get done as well with the EA Sports video game conversation. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy and windy, a high near 40. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy, a low around 32. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 42. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Does it feel like finding clothes in your fit is impossible? Tired of feeling overwhelmed with options that just aren't right? Let the experts at Stitch Fix do the shopping for you. At Stitch Fix, we make sure each piece is hand-selected for your life. So whether you're staying home or on the go, Stitch Fix has the answer for what to wear. We make it easy to find what works for you. Signing up takes just a few minutes, and styles are delivered directly to your door. Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix, your style delivered.
Before you move in and start making a lifetime of memories, there's something you should remember: the value of working with a realtor. A realtor is more than an expert in the field who abides by a code of ethics. A realtor is your neighbor and your ally, someone who puts your agenda ahead of theirs, someone who understands your dreams and has the expertise to make them a reality. Finding the right place starts with you and a realtor, and the doors we open together. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are. Why would I quit my 9 to 5 to start a 9 to who knows when gaming company? Or eat pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Oh, I gotta get that. How could my favorite tech be an app that helps run my business? No offense, smartphone. None taken. Or fill my garage with enough servers to power a small country? It's because I wanted to make it big in gaming. And QuickBooks suite of tools helped me get there.
Intuit QuickBooks helps small businesses be more successful. Learn more at QuickBooks.com.
The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to assist veterans during this COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are here for you. We understand it is a difficult time with this virus threat and the strain of implementing social distancing. For those Montgomery County veterans who have lost their source of income due to their employers having to close or reduce their business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for COVID-19 special financial relief assistance. Please contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday for more information or to have an application sent to you. You can also visit mcvsc.org. The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to help Montgomery County veterans during the COVID-19 crisis. Call 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday or visit them online at mcvsc.org.
Gary is refinancing his home, so he shopped around for the lowest rate and found it at Amerisave.com, setting him up for a lifetime of savings. It's one decision he'll never regret, unlike taking that gig in the testing lab at the deodorant company.
Raise your arm, please. Oh, man, I hate this job.
Pretty regrettable, Gary. Unlike finding that low mortgage rate at Amerisave.com that's got you on your way to a lifetime of savings. Amerisave's rates won't be this low forever, so go to Amerisave.com now. Lower mortgage rates mean higher savings. Call 866-514-SAVE or visit Amerisave.com/licensing for cost information, terms, and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all states except New York. NMLS number 1168.
Panera's new flatbread pizzas are here. But to our new chef, Klaus, they're not just pizzas. They're masterpieces. Because it's not just cheese. It's hot and melty mozzarella and fontina cheese. It's not just sauce. It's market tomato red bell pepper sauce. And it's not just toppings. It's fresh mozzarella, basil, and grape tomatoes. Taste our delicious new flatbread pizzas today. Order online for pickup or delivery. Panera. Restrictions apply.
Hey, you. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, so just about a month ago, right before the Super Bowl, it was announced that there was going to be a reemergence of everyone's favorite video game for you sports fans, the EA Sports College Football video game, or what did it used to be called?
NCAA.
Just so, I mean, whatever it used to be called. But the bottom line is we're getting a college football game back. And we got way ahead of ourselves. Me and Kev had a whole segment. Man, who are you going to put on the cover? Do you put Justin Fields? Do you put Joe Burrow? Well, I mean, it could be another 40 years before we get a video game. But the point is there will be a video game at some point. They said that more details will be released over the next couple of years, which is really depressing, by the way, because I got so excited thinking that it was like coming up for this upcoming football season. But a lot of it has to do with a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on between the NCAA and the national or the NIL rules. And as those are being finalized in not the pay for play, that phrase is being overused and wrongly, inaccurately used. But the pay, being paid for your likeness and those types of things. So with that being said, I thought this was a great thing. I think that, for one, let me ask you this. How big of a deal, like from a recruiting standpoint, I think that this is huge. I think that it is huge in regards to everyone's going to be on a video game, so it doesn't really need to be talked about on recruiting visits.
Right.
But if you choose not to be on the video game, I know this sounds kind of crazy or maybe not, but I do believe if you are one of the bigger Power 5 blue blood universities, choosing not to be involved in this video game, I think could have some ramifications, right? Like this certain university I'll touch on in a moment is coming out saying that they believe, and I'll read the quote here, as the rules are developed in regards to the NIL and the ongoing battle for that, but from the NCAA and their legal team and everything, saying as those rules are developed, it is our strong desire that student athletes be allowed to benefit directly from allowing their name, image, and performance history to be used in this game, which I find very humorous because the same university is also continuing to abuse the likeness and the images of their current players who they're not paying right now. So to me, I think that this is still just a look at me ploy. I really don't think that this particular university is not going to participate in the upcoming EA Sports video game, mainly because I think this is all BS to come out and say this, because nobody is going to participate in this upcoming video game unless these rules are ironed out.
Right.
The university I'm talking about is my least favorite university out there, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I can't stand it anyways, but the bottom line is Notre Dame has come out and said they will not participate in this new EA Sports video game, that they will not be involved at all. For you Notre Dame fans out there, you will not be able to be your favorite team in this video game. They're coming out and saying this. Let me be clear here. This is all a ploy. This is all to get us to talk about it. This is all to get us to look at Notre Dame so that they could be the face of the movement of we're fighting for our students' rights. We're fighting for you to get paid. We want you to get paid. I'm not saying that they don't, but they're doing this. It's actually kind of smart. I'll give them that. They're trying to act like they are a part of this movement, that they are going to be the face of this movement. We're not going to be involved with this video game unless we have these NIL rules taken care of. Here's the deal. The only reason this video game got reemerged to begin with is because the NIL conversation is happening.
Right.
That's the only reason the video game went away to begin with, was because the students' likeness were being used and their names. And even though they took their names, they used the numbers and their similar stats, and they even looked like the players, right? The only reason the video games went away to begin with was because of the NIL, the conflicts that were there. But because it's being talked about now, to be honest, it may have already happened had the coronavirus not hit. I mean, there was so much talk heading into last season about the players being paid to play like as soon as that season, right? Like that's where we were. That's how close we were to having that done. And then all of a sudden the virus hit, and then that got put on the back burner as far as the priority list for college athletics. So the EA Sports video game coming out and announcing that they're coming back is because they're laying all the groundwork. They're getting the game built. They're getting all the details ironed out so that the second that law is passed or rule is passed, the video game can go into full developmental mode.
Right.
That's why they came out when they did to announce this. So Notre Dame acts like they have these high moral standards that they're not going to be involved in this video game unless these rules are ironed out. But the bottom line is this video game will not exist without these rules finally being ironed out. The only reason the game is being developed at the current time is because they are on their way to ironing out these details. And it will happen within the next year or two, probably. It should have been done by now. But my point is that Notre Dame, be quiet. You're not. Let's say that the video game does happen and that there's a loophole to have this video game even without the NIL. You mean to tell me you're going to tell all your recruits that you can't even play as yourself on a video game? I know that sounds like it's not a big deal, but it is. Kids want to play themselves on a video game. Fans want to be their favorite team on the video game. It would be a PR nightmare if the university came out and did not participate in the EA Sports video game. Am I being dramatic with that?
No, you're not, because this is the thing about it, man. We're not 18 years old. We're not 17 to 18 years old. The things that these kids are enamored by, we're not enamored by because we're grown adults. So
I would love to see myself in a video game.
You're right. But like the thing about it is all this, everything that involves college athletes, it always goes back to recruiting. That's why schools in Florida are all for it. That's why schools in California are all for it. Like other places that aren't for them getting, the likeness rights and everything like that, they're behind. They're going to fall behind. I remember them talking about it at Ohio State and saying they're not sure. Well, guess what? That's going to hurt recruiting. So guess what? Ohio State's 100% behind it now because you know why? Recruits want it. So they're going to do what the recruits want. And this isn't just a rubbing elbows, is them to stick their chest out to say like we're not going to be a part of it unless our student athletes are taken care of and everything like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame is trying to cut their own deal because, I mean, Notre Dame is known for having their own deals. Notre Dame has their own TV network with NBC. Notre Dame was allowed to jump in the ACC for a season and jump right back out. Notre Dame is allowed to have all their other sports in the ACC, except for the most powerful one, which is their football team. So I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame is trying to cut their own deal with EA Sports.
How would that work?
Say, I have no idea.
But when you say
Notre
that, like,
Dame.
what are you thinking? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, they're trying to cut their own deal? Like, well, to be fair, a lot of the teams would get money from this video game, but it wouldn't be the teams getting the money for, say, the conferences would be getting the money through the distribution of the conference, and then the money would trickle down that way. So I guess from your point, they're representing themselves.
Yeah, they're independent. So we're like,
they don't have to split that with anybody.
Yeah,
just like that damn TV deal.
So like, say, I don't know, say each Big Ten team is getting, I don't know, $1 million. Just say, we'll stay low. Say each Big Ten team is going to get $1 million for allowing their school to participate. And then they say, well, shoot, we're Notre Dame. We're worth more than all those schools combined. Give us $10 million. Like, I could see Notre Dame trying to bring that argument to the table because, they're, like it or not, their brand is that strong. They do create a buzz, not only for a positive for their fan base that loves Notre Dame, but for people like yourself who don't like Notre Dame. They still come up because they're a hot topic because they do stuff like this.
I like Notre Dame, but I don't like the independent Notre Dame. Like, Notre Dame in a conference, I think they're great for college athletics. I think they hurt college athletics being an independent. They don't hurt themselves, but I don't like I think they risk putting their kids in bad situations when the college football playoff, like, they've been lucky to make the playoff and they were undefeated. So it's hard to leave an undefeated team out of the playoff. But that year that they, as an independent, when they made it, of course, they made it this past year as a member of the ACC. Mm-hmm. But like, I feel like if the committee, who's made up of human beings who makes decisions, it's not a calculation like the BCS, they could have easily held that against, Notre Dame, which is why I wish that they would have. We've seen the college football playoff committee look at the Big 12, look at TCU and say, yeah, well, we would love to throw you some love, but because you guys don't have a conference championship game, that they used Ohio State, and Ohio State goes on to win the damn thing. Mm. They win the national championship, but Ohio State was used as a message to the Big 12 to get a conference championship game. And so it's not like they haven't done something like that in the past. I wish they would have done that with Notre Dame, but that's a sidebar comment. But anyways, what?
If it was Oklahoma in that spot that Baylor and TCU were in, does that happen?
No, but the opportunity presented itself for them to kind of twist the arm of the Big 12 to do it. But I'm with you. If it was Oklahoma or a bigger name brand, no, I don't think.
Yeah, I think if it was
Texas,
Oklahoma, Texas, they'd have been.
Come on down.
They'd have been in there, and Ohio State.
They didn't want TCU. They didn't want the first playoffs. Let's be clear. They didn't want the very first playoff to feature TCU. Yeah. Like, I have no problem saying, I mean, anyone that has a problem with that there's a business side to this. But that's why I always get mad when Ohio State fans say that, the ESPN hates them and that the college football playoff committee is always out to get them. They have bent more rules to get Ohio State into the playoff than any other team in the history of the playoff, Kev. The first year, they probably shouldn't have made it. TCU probably should have been in before, but because they didn't have a conference championship game and Ohio State was so impressive in theirs, they got in. They could have easily picked TCU over them, right? Mm-hmm. And they didn't. How about the year that Ohio State made the college football playoff and they weren't even the Big Ten champions, and the Big Ten champions actually beat Ohio State, and they still put Ohio State in over the Big Ten champions in Penn State that year? That was another example of how the college football playoff committee found a way to get them in, although there was more than enough reasons to keep them out. All right. And then let's rewind to this past season. They probably could have kept them out. You only played 6 games. Everyone else played double-digit games. You only played 6. The only reason Ohio State, went in is because they are Ohio State and they have that brand. I don't think if any other team in the Pac-12 or anything else, well, for one, the Pac-12 was in the same spot.
Right.
You had undefeated teams in the Pac-12 that weren't even being mentioned. So, no, I hate when Buckeye fans try to pull the committee hates us. They're always looking for a reason to keep us out. They look for a reason to keep everybody out, but yet they found enough reasons to always put Ohio State in. Every year that they've made it, Kev, all 3 years that they've made it outside of last year, you could have found just as many reasons to keep him out than to keep him in. Outside of 2 years ago when they lost to Clemson, outside of that, every other year it's been they just squeaked in by technicality. That's all. I don't think the committee hates Ohio State. Another sidebar conversation through this video game.
They hate the Buckeyes.
But let's be clear here. You as Notre Dame, you're going to try and play your hand here and you're going to try and get your money. I have no problem with that, by the way. Do what you got to do. But if you don't get it, you would be foolish to not be a part of this video game. I think that's pretty silly. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would hurt them. And I know there's listeners saying it's a video game. Who cares? But the recruits care. And they are the most important thing in all of this, because if they want to go to your school, they want to be themselves. You mean to tell me that if there was a video game this past season, Justin Fields would be at his dorm playing as himself.
Right.
He would be playing himself. Everyone would love to. I would kill to do that. Imagine coming out of high school, going to a college, and being able to play as yourself in a video game. Like, how cool would that be? You know what I mean? Like, that'd be so damn cool. So yes, that matters to these kids. And if it comes down between Notre Dame and any other Power 5 school that's going to be in this video game, and no, it sounds crazy, but yes, the video game would be why that the other Power 5 school would get the rub, that they would get that edge. So there's that.
Yeah. I'm with you. I wouldn't say it would be the determining factor, but it would be a factor. It would be something that the other coaches would use against you, and that's something you don't want. I mean, shoot, we got all open arms here in Buckeye country about when Dabo said that Urban Meyer wouldn't be here in 3 years, and guess what? Urban Meyer wasn't here. He wasn't here in 3 years. So, I mean, they will use anything. These coaches will use anything to get the upper hand, to get the commodity, which is a recruit. So, and deal with it.
And keep in mind, too, the other thing with that is you're going to be looked at as a stiff organization. I mean, video games don't matter. Well, to you, they don't. But to the kids, they do. To the kid, like it definitely matters in the big scheme of things when it comes down to that. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station. We do have the Buckeye Roundtable coming up immediately following our show here in just about 20 minutes or so. And excited for the Buckeye Roundtable. Chris Holtman's going to be on the show. It'll be Paul Keels and the gang and Skip Mossick taking over. But they're going to talk with Chris Holtman. Chris Holtman had his Chris Holtman coaches show earlier today. Look, Ohio State, they kicked ass, man. Like it was a tough game. It was one of those you hate to see either team lose, and we all hate Michigan, but I like Dron Howard. He has quite the squad there, man. Like, they're going to be a 1 seed. Ohio State's going to be a 1 seed most likely, depending on how they finish up. Illinois could have something to say about that, but again, Ohio State still has Michigan State. They still have Iowa left, but I'm excited for the Buckeye Roundtable show coming up immediately following this. All right, college basketball fans, how about this? The Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Showcase. We didn't get that this year, unfortunately, thanks to the coronavirus, but for you Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Showcase fans, they got something else for you. It's called the Flying to the Hoop Top Gun Showcase, and it's going to feature quite a good amount of talent. How about there's going to be 5 5-star players and 8 4-star players, the number 1 team in the country as well as the number 1 player in the country, all participating into this Flying to the Hoop Top Gun Showcase. I'm going to have all the details for you on the other side of the break as far as the dates, where it's going to be held at here in the Miami Valley, ticket information, and there's going to be a future Dayton Flyer participating in this weekend coming up as well. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Tie ball game with the shot clock winding down now. Jones takes the ball to point off the high screen and roll. He puts up the shot at the buzzer, and it's
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Dayton Flyers basketball fans can't make it to the arena this season, but want to experience a safe electric college game day atmosphere? Timothy's Bar and Grill is the spot to support the Flyers all season long. Follow Timothy's Bar and Grill on Facebook and Twitter for select game day specials. Go Flyers!
Hey y'all, this is your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge for a coupon and daily support? Sign up at Metamucil.com today.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your car insurance with Right Track, which rewards you for safe driving.
As the world's most careful driver, that's perfect. Now applying 2 pounds of force for acceleration. You really turning in 0.3 miles and begin a deceleration.
With Liberty Mutual's Right Track, you could earn up to 30% savings based on how you drive. Sign up at libertymutual.com/righttrack.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Discount on participating vehicles. Base coverages only. Availability varies.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. With COVID continuing to spread, nothing matters more than having an accurate thermometer that's backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies, like the Exergen temporal scanner. Even after getting the COVID vaccine, you should be monitoring for fever to make sure you are protected. Keep your family and yourself safe by trading up your non-contact thermometer for an accurate temporal scanner and a $5 rebate from Exergen, where accuracy matters. Details at Exergen.com.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then try Babbel. Text TRY to 64,000 and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel is created by language experts who use the spaced repetition method to help you learn quickly and remember what you learned. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free. Just text TRY to 64,000 to start learning a new language today. That's TRY to 64,000. TRY to 64,000.
New to the Wendy's 2 for $5 lineup is their classic chicken sandwich. Go grab a 2 for $5 deal and pick two faves like a Dave single nugs and now the classic chicken sandwich 2 for $5. Price and participation may vary. Limited time.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are out. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. More facts, though. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we are back. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We got the Buckeye Roundtable coming up immediately following our show here in just over 10 minutes, 6 to 8 every Monday night, the Buckeye Roundtable. Chris Holtman, Buckeye head coach, will be on the show coming up later on this evening. You'll get to hear his thoughts on what went down at the shot over the weekend in the Buckeyes' 92-87 loss to that team up north. No gold pants for the Buckeyes, or I should say gold jerseys for the Buckeyes in their failure to beat Michigan over the weekend. But nonetheless, you still have a lot to be excited about for the Buckeyes. Projected number one seed heading into the NCAA tournament, at least as we sit here now. Still a lot of basketball left to be played, including the final couple games of the regular season and the Big Ten tournament. I'd have to think you at least need to win a game or two in the Big Ten tournament to remain as that number one. You can't. I don't think you can go out early and still get that number one. But a 1 or a 2 seed for your Buckeyes, that's one hell of an accomplishment right now.
How many teams from the Big Ten get into the Big Dance?
Right now, I think the last I checked was like 6 or 7. I mean, you have Ohio State, you have Illinois. I have to go and pull it up. But Iowa, Ohio State, Illinois, obviously Michigan, and I'm missing some ones in there too. Michigan State, obviously not a part of that conversation this season, but a lot of really good teams. Rutgers underperformed this year too. They have Ron Harper Jr. On that team, Ron Harper's kid, and he's really good, but they took a step back. Rutgers took a big step moving forward. Maryland's pretty good this year. Not, as good as in decades past, but they're still pretty solid. They were even better a year ago. But I wanted to touch on this too before, as we close the show out. I'm a huge fan of Eric Horseman and the job that he does with the Flying to the Hoop high school basketball showcase every season. And, of course, that was called off this year. And the one thing that I'm looking forward to is this now little mini reinvention of it that they're going to have coming up here in March. And it's going to be the Flying to the Hoop Top Gun Showcase. It's going to be the 2021 Flying to the Hoop Top Gun Showcase. It's going to be at Vandalia Butler High School, Kev. All right, at Vandalia Butler High School. It's going to be on Sunday and Monday. It's going to be on March 7th and March 8th. Okay, on March 7th and March 8th, there's going to be 4 games on Sunday and 2 games on Monday. Now, to give you a little bit more information about who these teams are. Again, as I talked about, there's going to be 5 5-star players participating in this, as well as 8 4-star players. But you're going to have, a lot of prep academy teams. You're going to have Bishop Walsh out of Maryland, Arizona Compass Prep. You're going to have. I don't expect you guys to recognize a lot of these names, but the talent that you're going to be able to see. I mean, a lot of these kids. How about Jemiah Neal, 3-star senior, committed to Ohio State. You have Josh Irwin, Josh Irwin, Broden Lane, and Licardi. They're all going to some smaller schools like South Dakota State, Youngstown State. But again, you have Michigan State here. You have Amani Bates. Okay, you're going to get a chance to see Amani Bates. He's the number 1 junior in the nation. He's a 5-star, and he's committed to Michigan State.
Yeah,
you're going to have a chance to see him play. He's out of is it Yipsy? Yipsy Prep Academy. Dylan Hunter. He's a 4-star kid, number 25 junior in the nation, but he's committed to Baylor. Okay, wow. And look at Baylor, the job that they're doing this year. They're reloading. They're not rebuilding. The number 81 junior in the nation, a 4-star, and Sean Phillips, a 4-star guard, Javon Hanna. I mean, so much talent's going to be in this group, and I'm continuing to scroll up here. There's going to be Jalen Miller, a 3-star senior from Bishop Wash, Maryland. He's committed to Rutgers. And then the one I'm excited about, Deron Holmes. He's a 4-star. All right, 4-star talent. He's the number 44 senior in the nation, and he is committed to play right here in the Gem City with the Dayton Flyers. So you'll have a chance to see former future Flyer Deron Holmes, 4-star talent. Again, one of the many great pieces that Anthony Grant has coming in this upcoming class, one of the top recruiting classes out there. I'm excited for that. But this is pretty cool for those who really were craving that flying to the hoop experience, and you missed out on it due to COVID. Well, here's another opportunity for you. And it's going to be held at Vandalia Butler High School, which is where the Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Showcase originally started before being at the really nice Trent Arena as well.
Yeah, man, this is cool, man. It's very cool because this is an annual event that everybody looks forward to every MLK weekend. There's so many young, talented athletes that come to the town and put on a show for everybody. And it was just a bummer that we didn't get it this year. So, them putting on an event nonetheless throughout these tough times is pretty cool, man. And absolutely get a chance to see Amani Bates. If people never seen him before, go ahead and get your YouTube on, man, because he has the skill set of a Kevin Durant. Like, that's who he's compared to. And currently he's headed to Michigan State. And I say currently because he has lots of options like G League overseas.
So he's verbally committed. He is not, National Signing Day. Obviously, as a junior, there's nothing to sign to yet, but verbally committed to Michigan State. But Amani Bates, that name's been floating around for a while.
He's legit.
Yeah, and look, the Big Ten's loaded, and you had a talent like that in there. That's going to be a fun addition to that as well. Real quick for you hockey fans, before we close this out, I did find this interesting for you Columbus Blue Jackets fans that there will be fans permitted now to go attend Columbus Blue Jackets games. You'll have to go to their website to get more information, but that just was sent in to me. I find that, but I don't know about you over the week. I'm not a hockey guy. I will never pretend to be. Right. I can't get into it.
Have you ever been to a game?
No, I'm going to be going. Well, not to a Blue Jackets game anytime soon, but I really want to go to a playoff Blue Jackets game. I heard it's unbelievable. But NHL, for those of you over the weekend, I even tuned in to watch this, the Lake Tahoe game. It attracted hockey fans in boats. They got to watch a free glimpse. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was South Lake Tahoe. And the NHL, they didn't allow fans in to watch this or to attend this, but they had their 2 outdoor hockey games. And again, they do this every year, but that didn't stop fans on the lake from rowing up and watching the game. I thought that was pretty dang cool. Yeah. The scenery was so damn cool, though. Like, it was so dang neat. I was like, man, that would be a beautiful game to go to just from the experience, the outdoor. I mean, it's cold, it's outside, but apparently it wasn't too cold because they had to stop the game because the ice was beginning to melt. The ice was beginning to melt. So their outdoor showcase, of course, is going to be known for that. But man, how cool was that? I like those, like the different scenery. We've seen games we played at Wrigley. Yeah. We've seen games we played on some random places. I love when college basketball did this a few years ago. The Ship, and of course, they stopped the game because it became too slippery on the floor, the condensation on the floor. But I think it was Ohio State and Michigan State, or it was Ohio State. It was a big non-conference opponent, so it wouldn't have been Michigan State. But they were supposed to play on like a frigate. It was some ship, and they had all the like thousands of servicemen there to watch this game, and they couldn't play because the floor became too slippery. It might have been North Carolina. Are you looking it up? I think it was North Carolina. It was cool as hell, though, and I love when you're able to do that. You can't really do that with football. not saying you can't. They just won't because the NFL is not going to give up home games, right?
Carrier Classic.
The Carrier Classic. So I think it was North Carolina that Ohio State was supposed to play a few years ago.
It was Ohio State and Marquette game got canceled along with
not even close.
Georgetown and Florida game both got canceled.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry for the North Carolina thing. It wasn't them. But nonetheless, I love when the games are played in these like different kind of environments. Not all the time, but just like a one-time thing, like a showcase like that. I think that's pretty dang cool. But these outside hockey games are pretty neat. Like I said, not a big hockey fan, but that definitely caught my attention and got me to tune in a little bit. So there's that.
That's a weird place to play a basketball game on a ship. Like, I don't care how big the ship is, man. If you're on a ship and you're looking at water, like, you're not used to that, man. But that's cool. Like, it's cool for the TV audience. Obviously cool for our servicemen and women to attend those games and everything like that, man. I hope they bring it back because the last one was in 2012.
Well, the reason that was the last one was for that reason right there. The floor again, the elements. And that's the thing with hockey. I mean, I don't know how you get away with that, without worrying about the elements getting involved. I mean, you just can't plan ahead for that.
Yeah.
You just can't. Real quick, back to our video game conversation. Paul Blanton on Facebook says the 2K sports and 2K football, basketball, and hockey are way better than anything EA Sports has. Look, Paul, I agree with you 1,000,000% on that. 1,000,000%. But when there's no sports, when there's no college games at all, I'll play anything at this point. But he's not wrong. Like the EA Sports, like when that's why I always play the 2K, the NFL 2K games. I love those. Like those were pretty sweet. They've always done a good job with those. But no, Paul, I agree with you. But the 2K or the EA Sports coming out with college football, I'll play it on anything. Nintendo can come out with a video game for college football, and I'll play that. So there you go.
I love it. I love the college football, man, because I'm a college football fanatic. I love the sport of college football more than I love the NFL. And I love the NFL, but college football, when that came out a couple years ago, and I found out this was the last time I was going to be playing it for a long time before they worked everything out again. I was playing that game way too much, causing friction in the household. That's how much I was playing it.
All right. This show flew by. I appreciate everyone who called in and hung out with us. This article I just came across, we're going to touch on tomorrow. Mike Trout says he speaks to the Major League Baseball Players Association chief Tony Clark once a day ahead of the negotiations for the new CBA. I found that interesting just because, we talk about Mike Trout a lot as a guy that, his talents are being wasted, but he could, with the, who should be the face of baseball, could have a huge impact on the upcoming Major League Baseball CBA when that time comes. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We're going to have Eric Horseman on tomorrow, too, president, founder of the Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Showcase, and we'll get more information on this Top Gun Showcase as well. I'm pretty excited for that. Again, that's coming up on March 7th and 8th. Don't wait for the information tomorrow with Eric Horseman. Head to flyingtothehoop.com/Top Gun, all right, to get more information on tickets. Only 600 tickets are available per session. Per session.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. I know a lot of Flyer fans are really going to want to go see that Deron Holmes kid play. I know that's going to be the one I'm circling that I want to make sure I get to watch as well, but so much talent up and down this card. So we'll have Eric Horseman on tomorrow's show. Folks, have a great night. Buckeye Roundtable coming up next right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Looking for a career and not just a job? Then Dayton Progress is looking for you. Dayton Progress is the leading international manufacturer of tools and tooling components for the metal stamping industries and has immediate openings for entry-level machinist. No prior experience is required, and Dayton Progress will train you, starting with the basics. They offer competitive wages with merit increases after 90 days of employment. They also offer private health care, including vision and dental, free life insurance, a contributory 401k, bonus programs, promotions from within, company service recognition, and 100% tuition reimbursement to local state colleges. Dayton Progress is a great place to work and has been a Dayton landmark for over 70 years. Apply today by emailing your resume to jobs@DaytonProgress.com. That's jobs@DaytonProgress.com. Dayton Progress is an equal opportunity employer.
Merrill Guided Investing. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner, and Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor. Member SIPC.
Yeah!
Buckeye fans, every Monday night at 6 p.m., make sure to keep it locked in right here on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes for the Buckeye Roundtable Show. Paul Keels and the